invocation.
Dear God, we come to you today in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, thanking you for this day, this event, its host, and its sponsor. And we truly thank you for all the men and women who have and who are serving in our armed forces, and those individuals who are protecting us in our local town, county, and state police department. We ask, God, that maybe you could intervene in a special way today and this race can happen. In Jesus' name, amen.
Here to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome Nashville's emerging power vocalist and singer-songwriter, Morgan Miles.
Oh, say, can you see the dawn's early light? What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets reclaimed their bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? And for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
The drivers are ready to go here in Bristol, Tennessee. The odds makers in Las Vegas have made Kyle Busch the favorite. Chase Elliott, Jimmie Johnson are 15-1. Throughout the season, Ford will be searching for the most passionate NASCAR fans to become the first ever inductees into the Ford Hall of Fans. To learn more, go to NASCAR.com/Ford.
Tennessee, there ain't no place I'd rather be. Baby, won't you carry me back to Tennessee?
In the northeastern part of the state, sharing a street with Bristol, Virginia. And Bristol Motor Speedway has hosted college football, even an NFL preseason game back in the 60s. Darrell described this as four teams playing at once here, playing a game. That's how cramped the quarters are. The noise threshold of pain, when it's loud, 132 decibels in the pits, 140 is what you hear when a jet takes off, and they are in the camper area. Most tracks have an infield for area campers. It's a little crowded here, but 4 lucky campers selected to set up their RVs in the infield for the race. Part of the VIP campground promotion here, and these happy campers move in for a night for the races and then have a chance to enjoy the race from a really good location, Michael.
I mean, that is incredible. I love that contest. Those fans are lucky. They get to be right down there with the teams and the cars and enjoy NASCAR from a unique perspective.
And getting ready for the command. You know, yesterday in the Xfinity race, as the drivers get ready, one of the pit crew members, Andrew Migliosi, they call him Mig. He's the fueler for Cole Custer. Michael, they work hard. Look at how casual he is, even though there's a fire. His foot's on fire. I know they have a fire suit, but watch how relaxed he is, and he ended up being certainly okay with all this.
That just tells you what kind of warriors those guys are down on pit road. Fire isn't going to stop them, nor rain, nor sleet. Nothing will stop the pit crew guy. Incredible athletes, and what courage they have going over the wall.
And with the pits today, after the rain we had earlier, Kurt Busch, who's starting in a backup car, back of the pack. They've dried the track. You hope the pit areas, too, are dry as well.
And that was one of the fastest cars yesterday, Chris. It's incredible that late in practice he had an issue, because I thought he would be one of the favorites today, but not from the back. Neither will I make Kevin Harvick a favorite, too. His car wasn't fast yesterday, and he's got a long way to go. You're watching NASCAR on Fox live from Bristol, and we're getting ready to roll on the short track.
Food City, along with Chevy Trucks, excited to be celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. Here to deliver those most famous words in motorsports, please welcome our Grand Marshal, Chevy dealer Tim Morgan.
Drivers, start your engines!
A minor miracle given the weather forecast. We're starting this race and hope to get it in. Let's head upstairs with Mike Joy.
Thanks, Chris. As our buddy Bill Goldberg would say, who's next? How about Kyle Busch? Boy, does he have the momentum. Texas win and the pole for today. Kyle Larson, you know he's going to be hunting the high groove. Micah McDowell, David Reagan, 15 seconds takes to get around here. They've had fast laps today. And look at the superstars that will have to come from the back. Add Jimmie Johnson to that list, who'll be starting out back. They call this the last great Coliseum. What makes a great Coliseum? Well, standing around for 2,000 years helps. But it's the gladiators who win there that define a Coliseum. Drivers with 5 or more Bristol wins, led by Darrell Waltrip with 12. Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, Cale Yarborough, 9 apiece. The Busch brothers, Jeff Gordon, David Pearson. Now that's an all-star list of drivers right there. It's the winners that determine what is a great Coliseum, and this is one. So let's get ready. Ready to rip and grip, slip and slide. We're about to go rocking and rolling because it's Bristol, baby.
Hold on, goodbye.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark.
500 laps, Thunder Valley style here.
Can't stay down no more, we gotta make it known.
I think we're going to be able to put on a show for them.
You're not alone.
Yo, let's have a good day, huh?
Back, ripping to the floor.
Go get that checkered flag.
Had a choice, they're knocking at your door. Now,
Ready, green, green, green.
it's time and this is war.
Gosh darn it! Go get that leader, buddy. Win this race.
It's time and this is war.
Under threatening skies, the track is dry. That's a minor miracle in itself, but we are ready to go with the Monster Energy Series from Bristol Motor Speedway to run 500 grueling laps today on that high banked concrete surface.
Welcome to the auto. Take a deep breath. Take the higher road. That's what they always say. Said they know.
Field rolls out, and several of our drivers stop by our Fox Procast to give their thoughts on the day.
Hey guys, it's Alex Bowman. Hopefully we get the rain to stay away, get this race in real quick. Just got out of driver intros. Everybody stay dry, and we'll see you in a little bit.
All right, we're in Bristol. Umbrellas are away. Let's go racing.
Gearing up to go racing, the Busch brothers qualify on the front row. Kurt will have to go to the back because that is a backup car. He'll be joined there by Kevin Harvick and by Jimmie Johnson. Starting in the rear at a track that quickly becomes the world's fastest conveyor belt, and it's going to be hard to keep from getting lapped in the early going. So there is your starting lineup on the left side of your screen. How about we dial up our pole sitter?
Oh, no doubt about it. Hey, Kyle Busch, it's DW, buddy. You got me?
Yes, DW, got you.
Wait, let me tell you, I've been coming here a long time, and I've seen about the greatest of the great, but you are the best I've ever seen around this joint. How do you feel about today?
Well, I appreciate that, but we've got a long day ahead of us to prove that again once again, so we'll see. But feeling pretty good about it. This Skittles Toyota Camry has been awesome this weekend. Adam and the guys have done another great job of bringing a good piece, so we just got to be patient.
Yeah, 10-4, buddy. How do you think that the traction compound, how do you think that's going to affect this race? I think we may have lost contact. But I like what he had to say.
All right, let's get down to pit road and get late-breaking, noisy stories down there. Vince Welch.
That's for sure, Mike. You know, for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., this season has been one of practice crashes, frustrating races, and disappointing results. But they expect that to change today. This is Ricky's favorite track. Over the course of his career, it has produced his best results. He's been a runner-up here twice, and this weekend they have been pleased with the speed. It has rolled easy, as they say, and that's a good sign for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. This team needs a good result, and they're in the right place to get it. Keep an eye on the 17 today. Matt Yoakum.
Vince, there are a number of different factors here in Thunder Valley that can spoil your day, but the biggest challenge, just don't beat yourself. In 3 of the last 4 races here at Bristol, Kyle Larson sped on pit road, including last year when he led over 200 laps to finish 6th. That's where he starts today. He's pitting here on the backstretch during final practice. He made an effort to come down this pit lane to get his bearings, but also his timing. Hopefully today will finally be his day. Jamie Little.
Daniel Suarez is somebody to watch here when we come to Bristol, but he was one of the many cars that got swept up in crashes at Texas. But when he got in his wreck and the wheel spun, his left thumb got caught. He went and saw a specialist, broke a small bone, but it's the ligaments that hurt. He's driving with a brace today, and he said it's a lot more painful than he anticipated. Larry Mack?
Jamie, it's always a struggle in a crew chief's mind, way in between fresh tires, staying out for track position, and I think for that very reason, we'll see a lot of comers and goers on the racetrack because of calls made on pit road. Let's take a look at our race analysis for today. We're going to go 500 laps, 266 miles, stage 1 and 2, 125 laps, the final stage to the checkered, 250 laps. Pay attention to that pit road speed, 30 miles per hour. The fuel window, 150 to 160 laps. The grip level, only in the traction compound, a 3 to 4. You get out of that, it'll be a 1, and a competition cost at lap 45. And Mike, remember, you can't fuel the car until that competition caution.
Thanks, Larry. We talked about the drivers who have to go to the tail end of the field. Pitting here is difficult because it's different. Under green, you come down pit road on the side of the track where your pit is. But under caution, everyone must enter pit road at turn 2, come all the way around and exit at turn 1, regardless of the position of your pit stall. You know, 2 hours ago, I'd say we're headed for the house.
No way. No way.
And a lot of people headed for the house had to turn around and come back. Folks are still filing in here. There is still threatening skies.
Mike, we got a little change of the lineup here. Kyle Busch elected to take the outside. I think Stenhouse was going to have that outside line, but Kyle Busch moved to the outside for the start.
Yeah, and you know, when that inside lane has a lot of grip on it, but it takes heat in the tires for that grip to really work out. I think this is a smart move by Kyle Busch.
Well, now, Ricky Stenhouse thought that meant he could move to the inside because Kurt Busch had to drop to the rear, but no, he has to retain his 4th starting position because the whole inside row moves up.
Exactly. Very interesting, and Kyle waited till the very last minute, coming down to 1 to go to make that change.
That'll put Brad Keselowski alongside Busch on the front row. Well, all-time winner at Bristol.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
get this party started.
Woohoo! Man, it's Bristol, baby, and we're going to have a heck of a show. Green flag in the air. We're off and racing. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing in the last great Coliseum, boys.
Wow. How do you get a 6-car length lead on lap 1? You're Kyle Busch.
You're Kyle Busch, exactly.
You drive in a little deeper, you get on a little quicker.
DW just pumped him up, told him he's one of the best he'd ever seen around this place.
Well,
wow.
He impressed the heck out
Here
of me.
comes Blaney underneath his teammate Keselowski. Jumps right up to 4th place.
Yeah, and you're going to see, you do not want to get stuck in that outside lane after about a lap and a half or 2 laps. That's when that outside lane starts to, you know, really not have the grip that you need, and that bottom group comes in.
Yeah, one thing I think about the traction.
Oh, trouble.
Oh, good grief.
Chase Elliott.
Oh, no.
Michael McDowell.
Oh,
Martin
Truex
Truex
is the last second.
piles in. And, gosh, that was ugly.
Well,
Right there, guys, take a look at it. Well, it was.
Truex, he just could not get stopped. I mean, you're going 130 miles an hour, and he just can't stop on these. I mean, the straightaway 650 feet long. You ain't got a lot of time to make a decision.
Boy, that 34 of Michael McDowell, he'd been fast all weekend, but he was caught up in that.
Yeah, just a lot of. I mean, this is what happens at this track, particularly early in the race. Everybody bunched
just
up.
Gets loose underneath the 19 as Suarez comes around and collects Chase Elliott and some others. Boy, look at the great job Eric Jones and William Byron did squeezing by.
And Martin Truex just can't get stopped.
I don't think that a lot of bad damage on that 9 car, but certainly a lot of damage on the 78. Mike, I was just going to say that traction compound, it's a little slick right now. You got to get a little heat in it. I noticed when I was driving the pace car, it's still a little sticky, but it's slick until you get a little heat in it.
And I think 78 of Truex had a little help getting shoved into that.
Yeah, Ross Chastain turned him around.
Come in the middle here, coming low. Come to the middle here, shoot the middle. They're still digging behind you here. What's the 9 in the middle? Hold it.
Now, the dinger got stopped. That bump was from Truex when he got into Elliott.
Off the floor, back it down. It's on the front stretch. Whoa.
I think we're going to hear a lot of that out of spotters today. Whoa.
Which way is whoa, Darryl? Is that left or is that right?
That means push the brake pedal as hard as you can.
I would like to hear stop, but whoa is okay.
Micah McDowell spins, collects Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex gets shoved into it. We're under caution in Bristol. Martin Truex gets back out. I hope he beat the pace car to the end of pit road there and won't lose a lap. Michael McDowell is 2 laps down.
Pretty significant damage to the left front of that 78 car. I'm not sure they got it taped up good enough, but maybe it'll hold on for a little while.
Just got to make minimum speed, then they'll have more time to fix it up right.
Matt?
Trying to stay on the lead lap. 2 visits to pit road by Martin Truex Jr. Left side tires, they tried looking at the cosmetic damage. Martin says the steering is way to the right. He's just going to try to soldier on until they get a chance to fix it at the next break.
Got a lot of loose parts.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard time just keeping the hood on that car, isn't he, DW?
Sure, certainly is. And here the 9 car of Chase Elliott, he's got a lot of right rear damage.
Now I'm curious on this. I'm curious on this restart. Now there's heat in the tires, and Kyle Busch has chosen the outside lane. I'm not so sure Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and those guys on the inside might not take advantage of that.
I think the 18 still have a slight advantage on that outside.
Green flag.
Especially when you get a start like that.
I was going to say.
Not much contest. But he does have company. Kyle Busch, he got a lot of company putting that 12 car. Blaney, he's looking. Whoa, and Blaney's there. He's under him.
Yeah, Kyle Busch saw how much speed Blaney was carrying on the bottom. He chose that outside lane for that restart. It worked getting into turn 1, but he realized he needed to get down in that traction compound right away.
I just really like that 12 car, and I tell you, I think that 17 car is going to have a big day too. And of course, we're mid-pack here riding with Bubba. What a great shot this is.
Yeah, and you saw Kurt Busch already making his way up through the field. Eric Jones.
Mike, it's hard to talk about a lap because it only takes 15 seconds. It's hard to get it out.
Sorry, my bad. That was actually the 14 of Boyer making a move on Bubba. Bubba's stuck in the outside. Here's Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I think Bubba he's going to get freight trained on that outside right now.
Oh, there he's got a small gap.
That's all you need, just a small gap.
But this is like the old Bristol. You just get your nose up there and shove that car out of the way or put enough pressure on them to finally move over. And then it's a freight train once that inside lane gets going.
Yeah, this is I know I complain about when a spotter says he's looking, you can't do that here. He's either there or he isn't.
How are you going to get back in? That's the problem for Paul Menard.
That is the problem.
You talk about getting freight trained. This is it.
And that outside lane, we got it. The 17 of Stenhouse got real loose up in the front of the pack, but also the 21. You really lead change here.
Man,
you got the 12 of Blaney.
That 12 car is taking it to Kyle Busch. 12 looks fast.
Well, here they come up on Corey LaJoy, who had just pitted for left side tires, and a bit of flame out from under his car, but now he's trouble turn 2, Allmendinger.
Goodness gracious.
Woo.
Allmendinger, you know, they repaired this car. He wrecked the same car in practice. They repaired it, qualified it, and now he's done about the same thing again. And Mike, Jeff, you know, this a huge bump off turn 2 over there.
Chase Elliott limps back to the pits as we're under caution for the second time. You're riding with Kurt Busch.
A little contact.
Got a little help.
All right, it's going to be a spin behind you here. No caution yet.
Who was that?
Caution's out.
Was that Jamie McMurray?
I think it may have been McMurray.
Yes, they were battling for 27.
Inside. Hold it here.
I mean, that looked to me like Jamie McMurray had a slight run. Allmendinger gave. Yeah, Allmendinger just didn't know he was there.
Yep. Tough deal, man. Fighting for that inside.
Harold, we got to get back to green. We got to get our vortex working.
Yes, we do.
About the time we get her wound up, we get a caution.
The vortex theory, supported by anecdotal evidence and not by science, is you keep these cars running at speed, generating heat, that column of air rises, and the rain stays away.
It's like a big old corkscrew going right up in the air.
And there's the evidence of impact on McMurray's car. He and Allmendinger were racing for 27th, just in front of Chris Buescher.
Pretty sure he's going to have to come down pit road and fix some of that damage. We see the 47 on pit road and the 31 in Newman.
As we mentioned, It's a very difficult pit road because under caution you must remember to enter at turn 2 and exit at turn 1. But if you pit under green, you can enter on the side of the track where your pit stall is and exit on that same side.
You know what I found interesting, Mike, because of the pit road situation here, a lot of guys like to pit on the back straightaway because that way you're always coming into your pits off the same corner. It keeps you from getting confused, and you're going to get confused here.
Sure. A little damage on Ryan Newman's car. Martin Truex showing a crash damage from the incident at lap 3.
Now that's looking like a Bristol car. That looks like a Bristol car now.
When there's no fenders on it, it'd be a Bristol car.
Getting there.
Want to mention the Canadian driver DJ Kennington and the logo of the Humboldt Broncos. That's the junior hockey team from Canada, in which 16 souls were lost in a horrible crash of their team bus colliding with a tractor and double trailer on the highway. And he and I believe Michael Annette yesterday carried their logo, and Kennington has them on the hood of that car for the Gaunt brothers, and a very nice gesture for a very, very sad event that has all Canada mourning today and this week. Prayers for Humboldt, indeed. Let's show you where Ryan Newman got that damage.
This is right on the restart. Somebody really checked up early getting into turn 1, and just a chain reaction. That's a product of everybody searching for that bottom lane. You know, right now the bottom lane seems to be the preferred lane until that top groove comes in. I think you're going to see a lot more of this today. That's why I say, you know, attrition to me is going to be a big key to this race today.
All right, they're headed for the Geico restart zone. We're going to fire up the vortex. We're going to get back under green.
Go, baby.
Ryan Blaney on the brake with teammate Joey Logano behind him from the top groove. Moving on.
Boy, Blaney nailed that restart.
It just seems to be a little bit of extra grip in that outside lane as you take the green flag. Then you want to get down to the bottom.
It's just that, Jeff, it's just that slight advantage that the leader has, that he can get back on the throttle just a little quicker.
You see some cars getting stuck in the outside. There's Clint Boyer on the outside, even further up.
And something you don't see often. Kyle Busch got passed.
Yeah.
Ricky Stenhouse went by him. Picks up 3rd place.
Kyle's car looks like it's just not reacting well after that last caution. Got his hands full.
He's
loose. Just a little loose right there.
This is something that I think is going to change a lot during this race. Is this track is going to tighten up, so they probably started the car a little bit freer just for that reason. But how long and how many positions can you lose before that car starts to tighten up?
Well, what happens is what we're seeing Kyle Busch do. All of a sudden you say, okay, it won't hook up on the bottom. I've got to move up. The problem with moving up is everybody and their brother going to go by you.
You know, guys, regardless rain or no rain, we had no practice in weather conditions even close to this, and that has to be a little bit of an X factor for all the drivers and teams.
Well, these frequent cautions early have...
big slide by the 18 of Busch.
That car is just so loose right now. He's trying to find somewhere where he can hang on to it, but he is loose.
And I was about to mention Denny Hamlin, who has come from deep in the field, just past his teammate Kyle Busch. Here's Eric Jones doing the same. So Hamlin moving up, along with Jimmie Johnson, who's up into the top dozen now.
Wait, Hamlin started 25th.
Big slide by Kyle Busch.
And that happened before he really got into the banking. That car is turning so positive with the front, and that's what you're going to want later in the race or in a run, but not right now.
Yeah, right now is when you can't panic. The track's going to change. The bottom's going to give up a little bit. The top's going to come in. So you just can't panic right now.
Also starting out back was Kevin Harvick. He has climbed into the top half of the field, 17th now. He restarted 22nd.
I was surprised how much Kevin Harvick and this team struggled trying to get this car to work well in practice. But you know what makes Kevin Harvick so good is his confidence, his patience level, and he knows how to survive.
Jimmie Johnson just about ran over that 66.
That got edgy.
Chad Fincham, my gosh.
That got edgy back there, Mike.
When we've been saying all weekend long, Mike, the old Bristol's back. This is what I'm talking about. Everybody's searching for that bottom lane, even hard to get by lap cars.
Well, Jimmie was trying to make the pass here on Daniel Suarez. Thought about going 3 wide, but ran out a straightaway. Chad making his Cup debut today.
Yeah, or you could say, you know, he ran out of real estate or came up on the 66 of Fincham, or the 19 of Suarez used him as a pick.
One thing he didn't run out of was talent, because he knew that wasn't the time to make that move.
5th place.
What's interesting, the 2 of Keselowski, remember, he started on the front row and went backwards at the original start and working his way back up there. Vince?
How about the 24 of William Byron? Started 11th up to 5th. It's his first time here in a Cup car as Keselowski gets underneath him. But the progress that this young guy is making, very impressive, and off to a good start here in his first Cup race at Bristol.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, doing a great job.
Alex Bowman alongside makes the pass, and Byron drops in line. We're at lap 37. NASCAR had scheduled a competition yellow for lap 45, but because of the 2 early cautions, they have moved that ahead to lap 50. We will still have a competition yellow. It'll come about a dozen laps from now.
I think things are settling down a little bit now, Mike. The traction compound is starting to get that edge worn off of it, and the guys know what they've got, and it's starting to settle down a little bit now, but it was crazy there to start with.
Riding on board on the front nose of Denny Hamlin as he's stalking the 24 of William Byron.
What an incredible run by Hamlin. Jeff, he started 25th. And look at this. He's all the way up to 8th already.
But the going from here gets tougher. Byron's been able to open up a little bit of gap there.
I just keep watching that 18 car, Mike. He is searching. He's looking around for somewhere where he can get that car to handle right.
Jamie?
That's exactly right. Even though throughout practice, 3 sessions and qualifying, the 18 started on the pole, they still said that they had balance issues. Adam Stevens, his crew chief, told me this morning they had to make some adjustments. Well, as you can imagine on the radio, Kyle Busch just moments ago said, I am loose as heck getting in, and I am plowing tight getting off, just like in practice. They're telling him to hang on as the drops are getting heavier, guys.
Oh, thanks, Jamie. Kyle Larson down to the bottom this time.
And don't you know, Kyle Larson's just waiting for that outside groove to come in. He just lost a couple positions going for 3rd on the bottom. Here's 7th place battle.
Byron up the hill just a bit. And Kyle Busch going to get a spot back.
Yeah, Kyle Busch has found that outside now, and it's working pretty good for him, Mike. He's been able to pass the 24 car, and the car looks pretty good up high.
We saw Chase Elliott on the apron going back to pit road. 43 laps complete, 7 away is the competition yellow. Jimmie Johnson marched his way up to 12th. Has lost a few spots though.
It's wet, NASCAR. I got a flat tire, guys. I don't know what's going on. I think I got a tire going down or something.
Boy, Blaney had to check up there for Corey LaJoie. Joey Logano is right there. That all started out with Jamie McMurray, who is proving to be a tough car to put a lap down, trying to hang on until the competition yellow and stay on the lead lap. Caution,
Caution.
As Reed Sorensen got up to the turn 3 wall. NASCAR has put the caution out, and officially it's for Mother Nature.
Yeah, and you see now McMurray was hanging on by the skin of his teeth, trying to keep that 12 car behind him, and it worked.
And I think Jimmie Johnson, what happened was he got out of the groove and he was up in that lane where nobody was really running. So I think that part of the racetrack was actually more wet than the bottom groove, and he was seeing moisture on his windshield.
He's complained about he thought he had a flat tire, but I think it's just like you said, Jeff. He got up high, no grip, makes you think he got a flat tire.
So a little rain on the track, but isn't that always the case? Something like that happens, and the first thing you think of, it's your car.
Yeah.
Now this will likely, no official announcement yet, but this may well become the competition yellow. And here's that audio from Jimmie Johnson.
I don't feel like anything broke, but something is definitely wrong. Either the right front's soft or a shock came off or something's wrong.
Well, they'll get a chance to check it out.
I believe that right front might be soft.
A little low.
Yeah, I think it is.
Third caution of the day. 49 laps complete in Bristol. Boy, has Mother Nature had her way with us this year. Since Daytona and the 500, every single race has been affected by weather, either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I mean, rain in Las Vegas, when does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Snow in Martinsville?
When does that ever happen?
Red flag is out. Drivers are climbing out of their cars. Cars are being covered up. The track dryers are already out on the speedway, and NASCAR, looking at weather radar as we are, see a window to get this race resumed. Our hope is, of course, to complete it, run as far and as long as we can. Out of the race, Ross Chastain and Michael McDowell. They were both in that lap 3 incident, the first caution of the day. And cars that are laps down include Harrison Rhodes, Reed Sorensen 1 lap, Truex, Kennington 2 laps, LaJoie and Fincham 3 laps, and Chase Elliott down 15 laps. Here's Vince.
Well, we told you before the race, this was one Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was looking forward to. I didn't see anything in those first 50 laps that would turn us away from that. How did it feel, and what were the conditions out there, considering the rain and also the traction compound?
Yeah, traction compound took a little bit to come in, but you know, we were able to roll the middle there the first few laps, and then you could kind of see guys start gaining on the bottom, so then we ventured back down there. But it's tough taking off on the bottom on the restarts. You know, it's one thing I found out so far. Restarting on the top is a lot nicer if you can get back to the bottom when that traction compound comes in. But it was getting pretty treacherous out there with the rain coming down. The right rears were kind of up out of the traction compound. I was getting a little bit looser. You know, traffic's a lot tougher to navigate when you only got one lane. So you know, we'll see how that goes. I do think the track will widen out. You know, if we do get some, you know, 50, 60 lap runs in, I think you'll be able to see, you know, guys move around. But so far, so good for our Sunny D team.
Yep. Currently 3rd, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Chris.
All right. Thank you, Vince. And it started, a lot of action, as Michael said we might see here. Michael McDowell, lap 3, gets loose, and 6 cars, maybe 8 involved.
Well, you just can't see up ahead. Watch Jimmie Johnson go flying through this shot. He was really hauling when he went into this wreck. See the 48 go through there. Really fortunate he didn't hit anything. And it was early on when we saw Kyle Busch didn't have the fast car like we thought we would see today.
Ryan Blaney taking over from pole sitter Kyle Busch, and then Jamie McMurray contact with Allmendinger.
And that's exactly what you're going to see. Jamie McMurray into the back of Allmendinger around. That's fighting for the bottom, Chris. And that's what the fans asked for, and that's what we're getting.
Kyle Busch started a little loose on lap 27. Out of the groove, fell back a little bit. Of course, Mother Nature bringing out the caution on lap 46, and that's where we stand, lap 49 under a red flag. Daniel Suarez there with his thumb. You talked to him on the pre-race. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, you had a lot of action in the early part of that race. You started 12th. You moved your way up and slipped back. First off, though, how's the thumb feeling?
You know, my hand is fine, but, you know, I never thought about warming up my tires before actually we take the green flag. Normally, we do that with both hands. Now, I can't really do a lot with my left hand, so I'm doing everything with the right. And actually, I feel like right there, my arm was getting tired. But, yeah, definitely a lot of action for, I don't know, 30, 40 laps that we run. You know, it was sleek, and for whatever reason, the racer was changing so much every single racer. So I was fine until the last one. I don't know. I don't really know what happened to my race car. We just lost everything. But we're not too bad in position-wise. Hopefully, we can get back.
Your crew chief told me before the race they swapped out the steering box to give you a little more assist. Did that make much difference, or could you tell this early on? Definitely
helps because, like I said, I'm not as strong as last weekend. I feel like I'm, you know, a little bit weak on the left side, but for sure it's a little more comfortable for warming up the tires and everything else.
Thank you, Daniel. Vince?
With Bubba Wallace, and Bubba's run a lot of different types of vehicles here. First time in a Cup car, though, so how would you evaluate your first 50 laps?
These things are slow compared to a Super Late model here. We need to put some more horsepower in these things, I guess, but no. When it starts raining, everything slows down, no matter what car you're in. That was a little sketchy there, those last 10 laps or so, whatever it was. But our SCP Chevrolet fired off okay. That top groove, I thought it'd be okay. We thought the VHT stuff would come in a little slower than it did, but finally able to get in line and get a good start on the bottom and start picking our way through traffic. But we'll see what the weather does. I know it's a tough call for everybody involved here, but that was a little sketchy for us.
Well, you're wearing the visor cam, carrying the visor cam for us, giving us a great perspective here of this activity in front of you early.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was a little sketchy. That was like some Days of Thunder stuff. Drive through the smoke there, Cole.
You did it well. Thanks, Matt.
And Vince up at the top of the grid with Ryan Blaney. At one point, you looked like John Force on the one restart, especially when you hit the traction compound. A lot of questions coming in, how much rain may have washed that off. How would you grade it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't really know. I didn't know how much of it would be left after it rained, but it actually surprised me how much traction it had. And it took a couple laps to kind of come in, and then everyone was down there. So everyone's running down there right now, and it actually kind of felt like it was starting to pick up a bunch of rubber and kind of ball up and start to fade. And I thought we would actually, before it started getting wet, I thought we were going to move up there for a little bit. So, but overall, our Rev Vehicles for Life Fleetwood Ford Fusion's pretty good right now. Like I said, the competition caution was good, but I wanted to run longer to see what it would do, 100 laps into a run, because it was really starting to change. But not bad. Hopefully it dries up here, and thanks for everybody for sticking around so far. Hopefully the rain stops when we get back going.
Try up top at all?
Not willingly.
Chris?
All right, thanks. Blaney, his one career win coming at Pocono with Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers here in the Hollywood Hotel. This is a running order for Team Penske. Fords have won this year, but the Penske drivers have yet to get into victory lane in 2018.
Yeah, but they're knocking, and obviously they got 3 fast Fords here in Bristol. They could win today.
Jamie Little standing by with the driver of the 22, Joey Logano.
Yes, and he's made some good progress. Started 10th, moved his way up to 2nd. We have his teammate Brad Keselowski sitting 4th right now. So far we're 49 laps in. Your car seems like it's a little bit better than how you guys finished in practice yesterday.
Yeah, we've made some good changes. Seems like the Auto Trader Fusion's got some speed in it for sure. It seems like we're pretty comparable. We were just laughing about the three of us seem like we're about the same speed, just kind of getting that track position or not. Blaney seems like he might take off a little bit better, and I don't know. As the track got wet, I got faster than him, but I don't know if the track's going to be wet all the time. It might be, but I don't think it'll stay that wet. But I think we got a good car. Track's still going to go through a lot of transitions, but overall, a good start. Starting 10th, get to 2nd. That's a nice start, and we'll see what happens during the competition caution, track dries, and whatever happens from there.
And Brad, it seemed like looking at you guys in practice, the 12 seemed to be the best of all of the Penske cars. How do you feel like you guys are now with some changes this morning?
Yeah, we're definitely set up for these conditions. It looked like I thought Kyle was going to really be tough to beat, but he looks a little loose. And these conditions, Jamie, that it's raining, so the track's real slick, and cars seem to be good for that. But we'll see as the track continues to change through the rainstorms and the rubbering up. Still a long, long ways to go.
Joey, real quick, back to you. You were at Dover Air Force Base this week, and you got to wear a bite suit and get attacked by a canine. What was that like?
I know. I got home, and my wife asked me, "What'd you do today?" And I said, "I got attacked by a dog." I said, but it was really cool, actually. I went to the Dover Air Force Base. It was amazing to get to see our servicemen and women see what they do, kind of the behind the scenes, and how they prepare for battle. It's very impressive. There's some similarities to what we do, except we're not life or death, we're winning or losing, but the detail that they have is incredible, as much as they fight for us. So always remember, if you see any servicemen and women, thank them. It's so important for what they do, and we say it all the time, because of them we get to do what we want to do, but they really are special, and I can't believe some of the stories, how I can't see myself ever doing it. They're amazing. So I was happy to go up there and say hello to everyone. And then they put me in the bite suit and showed me where the dogs and where they trained them and everything. And don't mess with the dogs if you don't have a suit on.
That heart rate was pegged. Woo! Well said. Thank you. Chris?
All right, Jamie, I co-host with her the Driver's Dog Show coming up in Dover on the pre-race show here in a couple of weeks. Now, under the red flag, Michael, you can't work on the cars. Let's bring in our crew chief, Larry McReynolds, and he'll tell us what crew chiefs and drivers can do. I guess they can come up with a plan, right, of what they're going to do when the time comes?
Well, when you've got damage like Chase Elliott's car, remember, he is not working with his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, who's on some suspension. Kenny Francis, you see him right there beside Chase Elliott. That's the good thing about a red flag for a team like that. They can make a plan, but you cannot touch these race cars. You cannot do anything whatsoever. The cars that are on the backstretch, the drivers got out, they covered them up. And I guess when I think about those cars back there, Chris, the first car I think about is that 48 car of Jimmie Johnson. I think we've looked at enough shots. we feel strongly he has a right front tire that's going soft, and it's only going to sit there, and if we sit there long enough, that right front will be completely flat, but you cannot do anything under the red flag conditions.
All right, 30 race winless string, a career worst for the 7-time champ. And Michael, 47 of A.J. Allmendinger having some trouble after this spin.
Yeah, they're fighting for the bottom, and you can see Allmendinger comes off the turn, and as they get down in the corner, he opens the door up just a bit, and Jamie McMurray had put his nose in there, and around goes Allmendinger.
And now he's around our Vince Welch. Vince?
So, AJ, how much damage, first of all, did the car suffer?
That was an interesting 45 laps right there. Just trying to get the sponsors on TV, seeing if I can be as many wrecks as possible to start with. But
well, you're off to a good start.
Yeah. I've done a good job this weekend. Now, luckily we didn't get a lot of damage. The Kroger Clickless Chevy has got a little bit of damage in the left rear when the one car decided just to drive through the side of me there. But fortunately, kept it off the wall, got it restarted and taken back off before we lost a lap. That first wreck there, I got it checked up. I got hit in the back and got it stopped right before I hit the 9 car. So. For as much chaos that I've been in or around, there's not a lot of damage. So keep working on this thing, and we'll have a good shot here whenever we go back green to drive it to the front.
We'll keep an eye on you. Matt?
Vince, good news. The rain has stopped. Looking at the radar, we are indeed in a hole. Even better news for Kyle Larson and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. You've got some guys that are working the top lane. Unfortunately, it's the jet dryer and the track sweeper.
The track sweeper is a good thing. It'll get the marbles off for us. But, yeah, we'll get up there eventually. We were just saying the bottom already feels like it's wearing out, so I'm sure it'll migrate to the top a lot quicker than we all thought. So, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So, a trainer on the top is much better than a trainer on the bottom.
And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., this is a place, you look at your racing history, you've had some good runs here. You nearly walked away with a win twice. What is it about this racetrack that you seem to take to right from the get-go? You go back to your open wheel background, maybe Winchester?
Yeah, for sure. I think, this place, just you get to move a lot, around a lot. You get to do things inside the car to make your car handle different. Different lines you can run. You can dime in the corner. You can run the bottom, run the top, all the way around. Just kind of gives me more options, I feel like, than other racetracks. That I can, help my car perform better. So far so good for our Sunny D Ford. Kyle and I were just talking. It was cool at the start of the race when the traction compound was too slick and we all had to run the middle. So, I think after we get going, like I said earlier, after a 50 or 60, lap run, I think we'll be able to venture up to the top. I think a lot of us will start doing that soon.
You look at the Xfinity race on Saturday, the Dash for Cash, it was all basically Xfinity guys running. You feel like if a couple Cup guys may have run that race, they might have worked up the top side a little faster?
Yeah, I do for sure. I think watching that race, I sat in turn 3 grandstands and watched the whole race, and I felt like when Christopher and Allgaier were both running the top, especially down here in 3 and 4, they were making a lot of time. But when after Christopher crashed, Allgaier was the only one doing it, and he couldn't keep it run in. Couldn't get it cleaned off enough. So I think if more Cup guys were in that, you would have seen more Cup guys venture up there. So that's why I think the top will come in today.
The open wheel guys hoping for that high side to come in quickly. Jamie?
It's always nice to catch up with Casey Kane, sitting 15th right now. Casey, so what are we, 7 races now into on our 8th race with your new team, your new home? How would you assess how things are going?
I think last week we made some gains. We were faster, more competitive than what we'd been. That was really nice. And then this weekend we've been really good for the first 5 laps of a run, really good times, and then falling off a lot. But right there, our first run was the best we had been for 50 laps. So I feel good about that. I think they made really nice changes for today. And we'll just have to go from there. It got really slippery with a little bit of rain, then the left rear probably falling off a little bit there. But yeah, not bad so far, pretty good.
Casey, in race day, our pre-race show, we saw a really nice feature with you and talking about your son, Tanner. What does it mean to you to have a little boy you bring to most of the races, for him to live that passion that you love so much in racing?
It's really nice. Really nice. It was cool to see him on TV. He's happy. He's such a happy, good little boy. And yeah, to see him on TV was fun. But yeah, it's nice to have him around. He makes my day better, makes Sam's day better. Everybody he's around, so it's grandmas and grandpas and everything. So yeah, we have fun with that.
Thank you, Casey. Good luck when we get going back to racing. Right, Chris?
Yes, we're optimistic, and right now the weather looks okay in between. We're have a red flag, 49 laps of 500. Bubba Wallace having a good time with Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. Nice hearing from them with Jamie. They are calling drivers back to the cars. So remember, 2 stages in this case is exactly halfway, 250 laps to make this official, but we're hoping to get the entire race in. What have you noticed so far? First of all, has the weather had an effect at all? I know they drive the track on the early action, the sliding, the slipping we've seen. Is that just Bristol?
That's Bristol now. Now that we've changed the grip compound, put it down on the bottom of the track, it's slippery down there. That means those guys are digging for the bottom, but they're getting loose and bumping into each other. I love it. I think it's a lot of action. We saw it all day long yesterday in the Xfinity race, but despite all that, the 2 Stewart-Haas cars that started in the back, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, they've marched inside the top 20. And give a shout out again to the People's Racer, Matt DiBenedetto. He's up in 16th place. Good run for him early.
And 10th, William Byron. He's standing by with our Vince Welch before he has to get back in the car. Vince?
Yeah, they have just called the drivers back into the car, but it's been eventful for you in your first Cup race here at Bristol, just your 8th Cup race overall. Started 11th, moved up to 5th, back to 10th. How would you describe the activity in those first 50?
Yeah, it was wild. I guess the 34 got sideways and we were just right tucked under Chase, so that was unfortunate. Then we got up to 5th. Our car was really good until the rain came out, and then we started getting really free. So hopefully it doesn't rain while we're racing right now, and then we can hopefully keep our balance pretty close. But got up to 5th there, and I feel like our car is definitely capable of running up there. So that's really good improvement from yesterday. We went back and looked at a lot of notes, so great job by the guys.
Obviously, we're concerned about the rain. A lot of times in the car, the heat is almost unbearable at times. You wear what's called a cool suit to a certain extent. You got here, explain to us a little bit about what you're wearing to keep you comfortable in the car.
Yeah, it's really something Jimmie kind of came up with, helped us kind of in the car just be sharper. You know, it's obviously not too hot outside today, but I'm sure in the last couple hundred laps of this race it'll be pretty hot in the car, so you'll try to use that, be a little bit sharper, and be able to focus better. So we'll see what happens here.
Have fun.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Back with Michael before we bring in the guys. Denny Hamlin currently 7th. I enjoyed you talked with Jeff Gordon earlier on the pre-race show, and this is a guy who could warm up at any moment. He's got his teammates there right behind him in terms of Jones. Of course, Kyle Busch coming off his win.
Yeah, I swung by Denny's bus last night, and I expected he'd be watching the NBA playoffs. He had his computer out studying lap times. He said, Mike, we got one of the best cars in town. Watch for us to come to the front. That's proven to be true. But Eric Jones is a guy that is special here at Bristol as well. I'm liking what I see out of him early on, too.
Well, let's welcome in Jeff, Darrell, and Mike from the booth, as it looks like we're going to get back on the track. And I think, Mike, too, racing to at least the 2-stage point is on the minds of the drivers given the forecast, even though they hope to complete this race today or tonight.
Well, anytime that happens, Chris, as today, there's a great sense of urgency, and we see really aggressive and really measured racing as we try to get at least to where this race would become official. Now, the timing of this caution, NASCAR has decreed this will be the competition caution, so the teams will be able to add fuel once pit road opens, as well as change tires, and one driver really needs a tire, Jimmie Johnson. They run the inner liners in the right side tires here at Bristol, as they run them on all the super speedways in all tires, so that tire won't go flat all the way to the rim. But
when we heard Jimmie Johnson, talking about this before that caution came out, he was in trouble. He felt like he had an issue. He didn't know if it was the rain and the track getting loose or slick because of that. He was right. That right front tire was going down. Could this actually save them a lot of positions if this is the competition caution?
So a big break for Jimmie, who got up to 12th, fell back to 16th before the caution. Darrell, how about these drivers that have come up from the back in so few laps? Yes, a couple of caution flags kind of helped to bunch the field, but they are cutting and thrusting.
They are really. Harvick comes to mind, and certainly Denny Hamlin. They both have moved through the field quickly, Hamlin the most. But one of the things that I love about this caution, 50 laps, you get to get out of the car. Normally you'd be in the car trying to talk on the radio real quick to tell your crew chief what the car's doing, what I need, what can we do to make it better. Now you get out, you get to debrief a little bit. I think we're going to see some guys that'll make some really nice changes, and they'll be real competitive, maybe that wasn't in the beginning.
So hopefully everybody get a little better here as the track gets dry. Let's go to Larry with our Ford Performance car.
Mike, you mentioned it about the inner liner, and we're going to use our Ford Performance car to show you about the inner liner. Now, this is in our left front, but that's the inner liner right there. It's basically a tire within a tire, and you run about 12 to 25 PSI more than you do the outer tire. Now, most short tracks and road courses, we don't run the inner liner because that inner liner does generate some heat. But because of the loads we have on the right side tires here at Bristol, we do run that inner liner in the right sides only, which honestly is a great thing for Jimmie Johnson right now.
We're getting ready to race again in Bristol, Tennessee. Drivers hopping back into their cars, the jet dryers pulling off. Cinch up your seatbelt. Bristol 1981, Darrell Waltrip drove his Mountain Dew car to victory lane. Today, Chase Elliott continues the tradition with the Mountain Dew Baja Blast paint scheme. In the early going, lap 3, his car got Baja blasted right here. William Byron couldn't avoid him turning Chase into a spinning Michael McDowell, and then the car got pounded by Martin Truex, but they're not going to recycle that can. They got it straightened out. He's going to continue.
The car looked like DW's with some damage on it. Unfortunately, not going to get the same results.
No. All of my Mountain Dew came out of Wilkesboro, out of the holler.
That the red flag has been lifted and the yellow flag, we're under caution. They can resume work on the race cars. You can start working on them right now.
And Larry, what are you expecting these teams to do decision-wise? They've run 49 laps.
Well, I've been working on that. we actually have only run 35 green flag laps. Ryan Newman, remember, he and Luke Lambert, I know they had some damage. They pitted at lap 19. I would not be surprised, unless they need to do more work, that they might stay out. And we might see, as we saw yesterday, left sides only, just trying to get track position.
You know, you saw the teams still waiting because the red flag has not been lifted. Engines have been fired. At the moment the red flag is lifted, a swarm of mechanics will go around that number 9 car. They're going, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. They've started engines, but the red flag's still out. The team signaled by NASCAR officials, so wait a minute, wait a minute. And now we're under yellow and work can resume.
Yeah, one of the smartest things I think I've seen here at Bristol maybe a couple of years ago when Todd Gordon, remember Logano had a power steering issue and they went up in the truck. They took pictures, went up in the truck, got parts off the backup car, and they were ready to change that power steering pump out as soon as the caution came out.
You can work on any car except the actual race car. You can work on your rental car.
Well, now, during a red flag, I think it was at Charlotte, and this is years ago, didn't your Gatorade team practice an engine, or did they do the engine change under red then?
Oh, we were changing
in 13 minutes.
Yeah, we were changing engines in 11 to 13 minutes back in the day. They finally put a stop to that.
Yeah, that wasn't practice.
No, they saved us from ourselves.
All right, NASCAR has ruled that because the number 9 team started working on the car before the red flag was lifted, that'll be a 1-lap penalty.
And their bad day just got worse.
Yep.
Oh my God.
But it's a long day to go. Plenty of time to make some of that up. So pit road is closed. Again, this will be the competition caution because of rain overnight. There's David Reagan's car. He was also in the lap 3 pileup here on the front straightaway. The only cars out of the race, Michael McDowell, who had been top 10 fast all weekend long, but spun to bring out that caution, and Ross Chastain, who got into the back of Martin Truex toward the end of it.
I think we need to keep an eye on that 48 car with that low right front tire going around the racetrack. Don't want to tear the nose up before he can get in the pits and get that changed.
So the jet dryers all getting put away. They are the primary track dryers here. Haven't only seen 1 or 2 of the NASCAR Air Titans out there. There's Johnson.
I've been accused of being a slow leak a few times, but never had quite a caution come out to save me from it.
Larry, what do you think? He's not dragging the skirt of the splitter there, is he?
No, not yet. But I mean, they are hoping that pit road opens pretty soon. The saving grace, as we just spoke, was that inner liner in that right front right now.
Yep.
Yeah, if that inner liner wasn't there, we would see sparks flying off the right side of that car.
And the reason he had to start in the back, Mike, is because he had a flat tire after qualifying, and they had to change the right side tires. That put him to the rear, and now he's got another flat tire.
Well, without the inner liner, he'd already be in the pit and would take the penalty for pitting early.
Agree.
They would have no choice.
Agree.
I just hope that there's not something else going on here with the 48 car. We already documented throughout the weekend about how this Goodyear tire has a little more flex in the sidewall, and we've seen that cause some damage to some tires because it's not clearance enough inside the right front of the car.
We're racing today at Bristol, but for the first time ever, the NFL Draft will be live on Fox. Troy Aikman and Joel Klatt will be in Dallas for all the big picks. Coming up April 26th at 7. Live on Fox and on the NFL Network. I know you were asked this yesterday. If we had a draft to race at Bristol, who'd be your first pick?
Well, I kind of wanted to mix and match, but if I had to pick one, I think I'd go with Ryan Blaney. I just like that kid a lot. I like Eric Jones a lot too. Those two, they're two guys I like a lot.
Yeah, if you're going with a young guy, I'd go with this guy right here, Eric Jones. He was so impressive here a year ago, or last August, actually. He should have possibly won that race.
I might have to trade up to get a higher pick.
Who would you go with, Mike?
Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
We left him
you
for
just
you,
watch.
Mike.
You just watch what he's done here last week and here this weekend already. If you filled this Coliseum with confidence, you would still not have as much as he has right now.
And you know, he's still very young. He's got a number of years ahead of him, and to be as good as he is right now, he hadn't peaked yet, in my opinion.
No. Now, I wouldn't pick him for every track, but if we're talking Bristol, that'd be my draft pick. Now, in this last green flag run, his car got up and out of the groove and got all kinds of squirrely and lost a bunch of spots. So everybody will get to make changes now. Busch fired off first on the restart. He is currently 9th. And let's see if pit road is going to be open.
And I think that just tells you how tough this place is. Even one of the best, if not the best here at Bristol, was struggling in the beginning of this race.
They're still clearing track drying equipment off the apron. That's why pit road is still closed. So we've made our draft picks. Who do the drivers think are NASCAR's best short track racers?
Best short track racer. I would say all around, I'd probably have to go with Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin's one of the best short track racers.
I think Denny Hamlin should get the nod in this category. He lives for Martinsville. There's a lot of us that would rather hibernate during that race. and he's really good at Richmond. He's basically from that area, and you can never count him out at Bristol.
I have to say Kyle Busch is a pretty good short track racer.
I'm going Kyle Busch. He just gets a lot of seat time in the Camping World Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, and he runs late models, and he just wears it out.
Best short track racer. Yeah, I'd have to say the best short track racer again is Denny. He's super good at Martinsville, Richmond, all those places.
Right now, I don't think one stands out.
I would put my teammate Kevin Harvick, in that group.
I think you'd really have to be remiss if you didn't put Kevin Harvick or Jimmie Johnson on that list. They both have had so much success.
Boy, wait till we get to the tough questions. Pit road's open, Matt.
Stops underway on the left side of Ryan Blaney's car, a little tight through the center. They made an adjustment on the 12. What you're seeing with a lot of teams going for 4 tires, because the trend that they saw during practice, if you went a heat cycle on a set of stickers, the car, very much hard to handle, Vince.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., upper right-hand portion of the screen. He's the first pit stall as you come off turn 4. Likes the car so far. 4 tires, fuel, slight air pressure adjustment, Jamie.
The 22 at Joey Logano just needs to turn a little bit better. He's tight on both ends of the racetrack. Air pressure adjustment only. His teammate, Brad Keselowski, in the 2, no adjustments, said it's not handling bad at all, and they are finished. The race off pit road goes.
Thanks, Jamie. Now, Alex Bowman has an uncontrolled tire, and that was a big story last week in Texas. We've learned from NASCAR that uncontrolled tires are one thing that happens on pit road that is not picked up by the visual Hawkeye system and reviewed down in the pro trailer, and it is a ball and strike call.
Yeah, another car might get, you're right on the an uncontrolled tire, the 22 car. I don't know what was going on though with the right rear tire changer, but that took forever, and then he went to the left rear and had a little bit of problem over there too. So 22 lost, I don't know, 5 or 6 spots.
Ryan Newman speeding on pit road.
And that #1 pit stall, boy, it pays to be the fastest on qualifying day here. That 18 picked up, what, 3 or 4 positions.
Here's what happened to Alex Bowman. And that tire, oh boy, one gets away. Let's go get that one. We'll come back to this one. The rule says the crewman must be in control of the tire. He must roll it. It must be rolling in the same direction as the crewman and be no farther than an arm's length away. And that is a judgment call by the official in place.
Yeah, just going back to Joey Logano, they had issues on the right rear with lug nuts, and here's what they had to say about that.
We'll work way back up there. The first stop, plenty more of them.
Yeah, late glue and that's that. We'll come up with a solution for that.
Let's show you Joey's pit stop.
Yeah, you see the guy on the right rear. He has a terrible time. I'm not sure. Can't get the lugs off. Then when he gets the wheel up there, it's like they fell off. Everything happened.
Yeah, the nuts weren't fully, the glue wasn't fully set.
Yep.
And they lost a lug.
Boy, I don't know if they got them all tight still.
Well, maybe all the moisture, maybe they just weren't glued up well enough that some of those nuts flew off.
Logano was second coming into the pits. He will now fire off 8th. Blaney on the outside of the front row for the restart. Kyle Larson, Ford against Chevrolet. Keselowski, Stenhouse, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Hamlin, Logano, Suarez, Menard, your top 10.
Can't believe none of us picked Larson. He is so good around this joint. Look for him to make this pretty exciting for Blaney.
Green.
Like that outside guy, he just gets such a jump. Just that instant that he can go before the guy on the inside makes that outside really, really nice.
And here comes the whole outside line. It's Stenhouse, it's Jones. Here comes Logano. Larson on the bottom trying to hold them at bay.
Remember that 20 car, Eric Jones, I think, Larry, didn't he do the tire test up here for this race?
Actually, though, with last year's team, the 77 car, first row.
Oh, he makes contact to 17 to Stenhouse.
Jones might have got tipped by Logano. Then he got into Stenhouse. Chris Buescher spins at the back of the field. And we are right back under caution at lap 61.
Yeah, I really think, I mean, it could have been effective from behind on Eric Jones, but I really think he just got loose getting into turn 3.
I think you'll see he just gets loose. Let's take another look at it.
Just think you have to be so careful trying to push hard on that bottom groove where the traction compound is.
You're going to see the car right there. Yeah. It gets a little bit loose and it just
I mean, the 22 was definitely right on his rear bumper, but I don't know how much that had an effect on how loose he got.
Well, when the 20 gets a little bit loose, that creates a chain reaction, and of course you see the 20 gets into the 17, around he goes. Fortunately for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. here, I don't think he hits anything. I think he's going to be okay.
You'll see Bubba Wallace drive through it all here as we're back under yellow, lap 62 in Bristol. "65 laps complete. We got this race started. Had a caution for rain at lap 46, and the most recent yellow. Watch Eric Jones underneath Ricky Stenhouse.
Just gets a little loose. Jones does, getting in there, and it turns right into the 17.
Here's what Eric and his team said.
That's his fault. Don't worry about it. He held it down way tight there. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, he did. You know, Stenhouse definitely was holding him tight. I don't know if I could blame that on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
No. There was plenty of room. It just, he got a little bit loose underneath there. See that happen quite often.
All right, Stenhouse pitted. He's back out on track. Pace car going to head home this time. Blaney and Logano, teammates on the front row. Jones and Menard, Larson, Keselowski, the Busch brothers, Hamlin, and Austin Dillon, the top 10. And we're back under green.
Oh, Blaney, he knows what he's doing on that restart. He's nailed that every time so far.
I'm impressed with Paul Menard up in the third position. He just avoided Ricky Stenhouse's spinning car. Look at, he's making a charge at second here.
And now the 4 Penske cars, including the Wood Brothers cars of Menard, have the top 4 spots. Roger Penske leads all active owners in wins at Bristol.
Boy, I'd be a little nervous if my car was this good this early. We already heard the drivers talk about how much the track changed in just those first 45 or 50 laps. It's going to continue to change a lot.
One thing about it, they're going to chase that 12 till it does, because he is bad fast. He's put down he just ran a 15:39. That's hauling the mail around this joint.
Vince?
Well, a big break for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Guys, we saw the accident that Stenhouse was involved in, but when he came to get 4 tires after spinning, he just had a very small dent in the left rear. Yes, he went from 2nd to 27th, but it could have been much worse.
Yeah, Vince, it seems like starting way back doesn't hurt you that bad. Hamlin and some of these guys that moved through the field, Kevin Harvick, they made nice moves through the field, so he'll be all right. They got a fast car.
Kurt Busch, for a backup car in which he's had no practice at all, has come all the way up to the top half dozen.
And Mike, Jeff and I were shocked when he had trouble in practice yesterday. His car had looked so good right around the bottom. We didn't see any issue with that car, and that thing snapped loose off turn 2 over there, and he had to go to a backup.
In fact, the team was already starting to unload the backup car to send it back to the shop to prep it for Richmond, and then all of a sudden they needed it.
But I also think this just shows you the strength right now of Stewart-Haas Racing. Oh, we see 19 of Suarez get a little bit loose, and Kevin Harvick's going to go by, but Stewart-Haas Racing just seems to be on top of their game with a lot of depth.
Pat?
First time during his tenure at Stewart-Haas Racing, Kevin Harvick to a backup starting at the rear. He told me during that break that the car was loose on entry, but his biggest issue was just no drive on exit. Also noted that there was going to take a little bit more time to work in that outside lane, but right now settled in 13th position.
We saw a wiggle out of Kevin Harvick as he went into turn 3. That's what we saw a lot of with that car in practice. I think when that top group comes in, I think that's when you're really going to see Kevin Harvick start to move to the front even further.
Ty Dillon off pace. He's gone to pit road. 77 laps complete. Ryan Blaney's been out front for 59 of them.
Yeah, Mike, I think the question we all have, and the drivers included, is how long is this traction compound going to last? Is it going to last half the race, 2/3 of the race? When's it going to finally give up and we have to find somewhere else to run?
Hey, Jay Allmendinger passes Gray Gaulding.
And those are the shots that remind me of old Bristol, when you would just run single file around the bottom, but you were a little bit faster than that car in front of you, and you just had to give them that little nudge, even if it was, you know, for 15th or 20th position.
Well, William Byron got a little loose there and almost got a little tap from Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, he did. William Byron just got around Suarez. Suarez seems to say, I think I can pass you back, buddy.
Now that's Ricky Stenhouse giving Alex Bowman a bump. Bowman right behind Jamie McMurray. And Stenhouse's mirror is all full of Ryan Newman.
Yeah, Stenhouse got a little loose off turn 4. Let Newman really close right up on his back bumper. But Stenhouse a little bit quicker, I believe. I think he might be in traffic here and hold him up a little bit. See what he can do about it, if anything.
Yeah, McMurray not getting off the corner well. He got a bump from Bowman, and here goes Bowman. And the old Bristol bump and run is back.
It is definitely back. Also, not making a lot of friends is back at Bristol.
That was 20th position. Let's go up to 6th place, where Kyle Busch gets underneath his older brother. And Denny Hamlin moves in and by.
And Mike, it doesn't matter if you race for the lead or the 15th place or the last place. You race as hard as you can go around this place.
And right with them is Casey Kane, coming off his best finish since joining Levine Family Racing for this season. Kane right behind Kurt Busch there. Very much a part of this battle in the top 10.
Yeah, Travis Mack is a crew chief on that 95 car. And Jeff, you know a little bit about Travis. He came from Hendrick Motorsports. Pretty sharp guy.
Oh, really sharp guy, and obviously a lot of experience with a great organization. He brings a lot of strength to that 95 team of Casey Kane.
Team Penske 1, 2, 3 YRB. Young Ryan Blaney on point.
teammates.
A lot of intramural battles between teammates. Denny Hamlin trying to take 7th from Kurt Busch, while Brad Keselowski got 2nd away from his teammate Joey Logano. Now here's Eric Jones and Kyle Busch,
and
nose to tail.
Starting to see both Eric Jones and Kyle Busch work that outside lane up just a little bit at a time.
What's frustrating, Mike, is somebody takes advantage of, you're trying to pass somebody in front of you. You get out of the line a little bit, somebody jumps all over that, takes advantage of you. It frustrates you. You want to get that guy back. I'm faster than you are. You hold me up, now I'm behind you.
You got at least 2 fellas out there that are banging into just anything that gets in front of them, and I don't want to name names, but it's the one in the 17.
They are very aggressive this early in the race.
Frustrated, I believe.
I think you're right.
And this is where you got to have a lot of patience. This is a long race. I know there's some urgency, DW, because the rain in the area, but I still think you got to survive this race, especially at this point.
16th place here, Almirola and Bowman behind Boyer.
Bowman's got a fast race car. He's had some damage a little bit here, but I think he's rolling the bottom about as good as anybody's. I've seen almost contact to the 14 of Clint Boyer.
You know, Mike, Jeff, I do believe that 2nd and 3rd groove, I'm noticing the track is starting to darken up a little bit above the traction compound, and I see more and more cars starting to move up a little bit middle to maybe 2/3 of the track.
Yeah, what starts to happen is that rubber starts to build up on that bottom traction compound and that bottom groove, and it starts to let the tires kind of sit up on top of that rubber and skip and slide out. That's when the top groove's going to start to form.
I mean, right now the traction compound looks like a rut. It looks like there are 2 ruts where the cars have been running.
Yeah, we have a 2, maybe even a 3 groove racetrack right now with 24 laps to go in stage 1. And our race leader, Ryan Blaney, in the 12, getting into a lot of heavy traffic. Matt.
2 factors colliding. You go back to practice around 30 to 35 laps. Tires really took a swing, and it became a real challenge and a handful. You also throw in the fact that more rubber's been laying down. The heat in that traction compound has really heated up. Ryan Blaney says the car is just freer and freer every run he goes, getting to be a little bit more of a handful, but still holding on to P1, Jamie.
And behind him out is his teammate Keselowski. Brad started this race 3rd. He's moved his way up to 2nd, and the car is good. No adjustments. He just radioed to his team. The traction compound is wearing off fast.
39 cars running. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch up in the high groove.
Oh, here comes
Larson for 3rd.
Not just for 3rd, but here comes Larson.
Yeah.
Watch him start to search around this racetrack and find that rocket speed we've seen him have in the past.
Yeah, he's been waiting for that groove to come in a little bit. He single-handedly tried to get it to come in yesterday in practice.
Big
Nobody would
slide
help
on
him.
the 18 of Kyle Busch right in front of the 22.
Jamie?
And Joey Logano at final practice yesterday, they kind of lost their way. I talked to his crew chief this morning, Todd Gordon, and he said, we just weren't sure. The car was tight in the middle, loose off, and we kind of went down a different road. So we went back to our teammate, Ryan Blaney, put a lot of what they had in their setup on this car, and what a difference it's made today. They had a little bit of a slow pit stop, but that didn't make any problems for the 22. The car is good right now.
And Paul Menard just cut him a lot of slack. He could have forced the issue, used the lap car as a pick and hold Logano at bay, but allowed Joey the chance to slip underneath and by.
Mike, I think what makes it a little confusing is as this traction compound wears off, the track goes through a dramatic change, and that confuses the driver and the crew chief.
Jimmie Johnson, after getting to make that stop and take care of that right front tire back up in the top dozen, Matt.
Harvick starting to work the outside like we talked earlier. The Johnson on the inside. Now, in the Stenhouse spin, Johnson locked him up. His team looked at the video and said it did not look like he locked him up enough that they would have to pit. We talked earlier about the issue on that right front. Indeed, a puncture in the center section of that Goodyear. Must have run over some debris.
We were talking about William Byron. He's following along here behind Kevin Harvick. I didn't know you could take notes and still drive a race car around here, but I guarantee you he's taking a note every lap.
Hey, I want to go back to Matt's report on our leader, Ryan Blaney, in that 12 car. He talked about him getting loose. This is the longest run by far that we've had. And remember, you started the race on scuff qualifying tires. Then they put stickers. We watched them take wedge out of that car. Now they know for the long run, taking wedge out is not the way to go.
Just marveling at Ricky Stenhouse because he has found that this is a 3 and maybe a 4 groove racetrack. He is all the way to the top.
We've made it to the top, guys.
Yep.
That groove has finally come in. We're seeing Stenhouse. We're seeing Larson. Some of the guys that like to ride the wall, they're up there.
Even our second place runner, Brad Keselowski's really starting to make up ground on our leader, Ryan Blaney, on the top. And now Blaney's even searching up top.
Yeah, Blaney was, I mean, his car was so good on the bottom. I think he hated to make that move, but it's time. The track is now good up high.
Now Stenhouse, despite that spin, he's still on the lead lap, battling to get back into the top 20, Vince.
Well, and we told you beforehand that Stenhouse has been so happy with his car all weekend long, said it's just rolling easy, and the speed and the handling of it have been very, very comfortable. And the one thing Ricky likes is a multi-groove track. He loves this short track racing, so it's not surprising that he's moving it to every lane possible or moving whoever he needs to get where he needs to get.
Keselowski looking for the lead on teammate Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, Blaney was working the bottom lane on some lap cars.
Trouble, turn 3.
Yikes!
No, get around the corner.
Good. Trevor Bayne went around. He got turned. And as Chris Buescher slid up the racetrack, there was Ryan Blaney.
Good job today, brother. Nothing you can do about it.
What a shame. What a great race car. What a great job, McMurray. He's got a lot of damage to his car.
Harrison Rhodes also involved. I think we'll see who got into Trevor Bayne, but I was about to mention the leaders as they battled were about to get into really heavy traffic. Yep. And you'll see why.
And that's where the urgency really starts to become a key to this race, is try not to go a lap down.
Yeah, you see Bayne up there in the 6.
They go 3 wide. Chris Buescher goes to the outside.
51 kind of caught in the middle. And,
yeah, Bayne just didn't know Buescher was on the outside.
Yep. Ooh.
Blaney just know where to go as Rhodes slides up the racetrack.
And Keselowski did a masterful job of avoiding all that.
Yeah, he kind of went to the bottom of the 12, and I think that actually paid off. There's the contact between Trevor Bayne and Chris Buescher. I think because Keselowski started to go to the bottom of the 12 of Blaney, it put him in a much better lane to avoid that.
Yep.
I believe Bayne would have been the free pass car, but since he's in the middle of it.
What a shame.
Yep.
What a shame.
Ryan Blaney had the lead for 99 laps, and for much of this race had the best car on the racetrack.
Probably not very happy either.
He's usually pretty calm, but not right now.
Well, I think he knew he had a rocket ship today, and it got away from him.
And for good reason.
Jeremy Bullens, I mean, he's just, what have we got to do? Chris Buescher, recently married.
And there are the drivers involved at lap 118. 5th caution flag of the day. Coming up on the end of stage 1 as the leader gets taken out in this pileup. Brian Blaney had to climb out of the best car in the field when he got swept up into a crash when Chris Buescher got into the back of Trevor Bayne. Buescher closing at a high rate of speed on the outside. Bayne apparently was cleared to go to the top. And watch the 6. Bayne comes up. Buescher's already there with a full head of steam. Harrison Rhodes, Jamie McMurray, and race leader Ryan Blaney. We listened in to the 6.
Outside 37. Looking outside 37. Still there. Still there. Still there. Inside. Commit. I mean, I was sliding up.
Yeah, I mean, to go along with what Bayne was talking about, he just lost all rear traction coming off the corner and was just sliding all the way to the wall. Unfortunately, 37 was there. And Vince, you got something on Ryan Blaney?
Well, Ryan just come out of the medical center. Such a dominating car as we look at the replay again. From your perspective, I mean, was there anything you could have done in that situation?
I don't know. I didn't really see it happen. I was so close to the car in front of me when my spotter said wrecking, I couldn't even see it happen until they were coming up the track and I was at the top of the racetrack. So that stinks. I guess I should have just went to the bottom, but it's unfortunate. Our Rev Fleetwood Ford Fusion was really good, and we just kind of got held up in lap traffic and let the two catch us, and just people not clear. Wrecking took us out, so sucks. But positives, we had a good car, and that's something to hold their heads high about.
Mike,
they'll know he was here, Vince. He led 99 laps of this race and dominated on every restart when he was up front and pulled away.
Mike, that's the hardest interview that a driver has to do. You got the best car here. You know you got a good shot at winning this race, and you get taken out of something that you had nothing to do with.
But one reason I think we really like this young man is when he gets through talking about the wreck, he said, well, are there positives we can take away? And he finds a couple.
Yes, sir. I like that, too.
And I think he'll even take those positives to Richmond next weekend.
Yep. The red flag is out as we have 6 laps to go in stage 1. They had to do quite a bit of cleanup in turns 3 and 4, removing the cars of Trevor Bayne, Chris Buescher, Harrison Rhodes, and Ryan Blaney.
Now, Mike, I'm not picking on anybody because I don't even know what the numbers are. But I think if you look at these first 119 laps, some of these guys just find themselves in the wrong place every time.
All right, let's get to the Hollywood Hotel and recap the race so far.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. So 119 of 500 scheduled laps. We had the 8-car wreck early on lap 3.
Yeah, these cars are just really hard to handle on colder tires with that traction compound not heated up yet. We saw it yesterday all day long. Jimmie Johnson just barely squeezing through that wreck. That was a big break for Jimmie. He had a lot of momentum coming into that wreck.
Chase Elliott involved in that. And then, of course, this is Ryan Blaney with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, the pole sitter, and had led the most laps before Blaney took over. The red flag on lap 50.
Yeah, and Kyle Busch was the guy everyone was talking about after practice. I think that just tells you, Chris, how much this track has changed. Our most recent accident was just 2 guys that wound up in the same spot off the corner and unfortunately swept in Ryan Blaney. What a fast car he had. Look at Brad Keselowski doing a nice job slipping by on the bottom.
Yeah, the headaches for crew chiefs after some weather issues. Drivers disappointed. Blaney frustrated. 99 laps led. And we've yet to complete stage 1. Michael Waltrip, Chris Myers, back up to Jeff, Darrell, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Yellow flag is displayed. Cars on pit road can go back under repair. For the cars out on track, pit road is not yet open. Will be shortly.
Now, DW, isn't that just Bristol? I know you won a lot of races here, but I bet you've had some days like Blaney just had too, where you've had the best car, you've had yourself in a position where you thought you could win this race, and it just gets taken away in a split second like that from, you know, something completely out of your control.
Yeah, and Blaney, you heard him say, and you saw it on the screen, Keselowski went low. Keselowski was kind of committed to the bottom, and Blaney had blocked Keselowski down here at 1 and 2, thinking Keselowski might take the outside. I think Blaney went in the corner high, which he seemed to think was working for him, and it was the wrong place to be. These cars here, when they get in trouble, they go up the hill, and they hit the wall, and it's usually, if you're there, right in front of you.
And that's exactly what I've felt racing here over the years, is you make one split-second decision, and then, unfortunately, you get caught up in something like that. You wish you could take it back.
Take it back.
6 minutes of red flag time added to 25 minutes for the earlier crash. Pit road will be open this time, and then hopefully we'll get to finish stage 1 under green.
I think this is going to be a mixed bag right here, because we've run 52 green flag laps. No question you want 4 fresh tires, but when I look at the guys up front like Keselowski, Larson, Kyle Busch, they're trying to win this stage. So I think you're going to see split decision on the guys at the front staying out, and guys maybe about 10th, 11th, 12th on back getting their 4 tires now.
Which could have a big impact on stage 2 and winning this race.
Well, they're going to have to hold their breath for what, 2 laps under green to finish the stage at lap 125?
I see one guy that says, I'm staying out.
Matt?
And the 42 guy's up on the wall waiting for Larson. This run, he said the car was free on exit, but not really that bad. Eric Jones up top in the 20 car, no grip, tight during that first run. Meanwhile, Harvick was also talking about that they were looking at trying to make the car turn better in the center of the corner, because the VHT, the traction compound, going away. They're going to try to start heading up high more. Vince?
The 3 of Austin Dillon started 21st. He's moved up just inside the top 10, sitting 10th, and he likes his car. Said it's pretty good on the bottom and it turns well. They're not going to make any changes to the 3 of Dillon, just 4 tires for Austin. Jamie?
22, Joey Logano said the car got better, entry got really good, still need a little bit more turn. His teammate in the 2 stayed out on the track, and the 18 of Kyle Busch said not bad up top, it's sketchy on the bottom, so they're adjusting to hopefully get up top for Kyle Busch, and that's where he likes it.
1 to go at the line. Brad Keselowski is going to have to hold his breath for a lap.
He's got some friends, though, Mike. Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola, Ryan Newman, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., A.J. Allmendinger. Top 6 drivers actually stayed out.
They're fine right now, but when this caution comes out with stage 1 is over, he's going to come down pit road, and there's going to be very few takers.
Can't have your cake and eat it, too.
He's fine now. Not so fine after that happens.
I love to eat my cake, Larry.
Cake, please.
Oh, that limoncello cake at Martinsville.
Oh, my gosh. How far is it to Martinsville from here?
If there's an Elizabeth's Pizza nearby, we'll send out. Keselowski last pitted on lap 56. Kyle Busch is the first car with fresh tires. He and Kyle Larson pitting at lap 122. It'll be a 1-lap sprint to the stage-ending checker.
Yeah, just get you one of those Ryan Blaney restarts here, and you'll be in good shape there, Mr. Keselowski.
Ready to hold your breath?
He's up there, and he's away.
Green flag.
Clear, clear. Clear by 1 back to the lane.
Larson looked for 3 wide. There wasn't enough room.
And he makes contact with Eric Jones slightly on the back straightaway.
Here comes Newman, but Keselowski will win stage 1.
Yeah. Now, Newman's one guy I wouldn't want gnawing on my back bumper.
Stage caution, stage caution.
Nice job for Brad Keselowski. He's our stage winner over Ryan Newman, Clint Boyer, A.J. Allmendinger, and Kyle Larson. It's the end of stage one. Brad Keselowski, the stage winner. Now we expect Keselowski, Newman, Boyer, and Allmendinger to pit, as well as Almirola and Stenhouse. Those were the cars up front that did not pit during the prior caution flag. The other drivers who were just in it, lap 122, maybe not. Jamie McMurray will get the free pass at the end of this stage. And pit road's open. Keselowski, Newman, Boyer, Allmendinger as expected, Almirola and Stenhouse.
Well, this is basically going to take them back to about 24th or 5th once they come off pit road.
Well, we'll see if the risk was worth the reward.
You know, there's a lot of damaged cars back in that back half of the field there, so I don't think it'll be that bad.
All right, let's join Vince.
Well, you see Clint Boyer, upper right-hand portion of the screen, just trying to get a handle on it. It's just been too loose, as he doesn't feel like he's got any right rear grip. They've also been fighting some temperature issues, keeping a close eye on that. So they're going to snug him up and pull some tape, which should help with that as well. Jamie Little?
31, Ryan Newman earlier had some damage from that first crash and had a tire rub. He says he gets loose on the long run, and the two of Brad Keselowski, right after his decision to stay out, he said, I hate to give up that much track position, but there were just too many points to leave out there.
Pulled a spring rubber out of the right rear of the 14.
And there's your race off pit road. Keselowski, Newman, Almirola, Stenhouse, and they will start deep in the field for the restart.
Let's dial up our stage one winner. Hey, Brad, this is Jeff up in the FS1 booth. You got me? Hey, Brad Keselowski, Jeff up in the FS1 booth. You got me? Let me try him on this other radio. Hey, Brad, this is Jeff. You got me? Oh, let's try one more time.
Last time. Apparently, he is hearing us. We're not hearing him. Here's Vince.
Chris Buescher out of the medical center, and glad that you're okay. You had a great run going up on the top, and then what happened?
Yeah, I mean, first off, our Busch's Baked Beans Camaro was really good today, and fortunately we were in one of the accidents before that and got us back there where we really shouldn't have been. You know, we had 3 or 4 of us trying to stay on the lead lap, and you know, we're all being held up by the 6 there. And got a good run on the outside around one of the slower cars. Came off the corner and thought we were good, and just swiped right up in front. So time it left, it's a little too late. Really unfortunate. We just can't stand it. I love this place. My favorite racetrack we go to. We had good speed. Just you know, got to get back after it next time we come here.
Mike.
So Chris Buescher out of the race. Now let's go in the pit with RCR, presented by eBay Motors.
For years, NASCAR teams invested huge amounts of time and money into air gun technology in hopes of gaining fractions of seconds on pit road. But new this year, all crew members will use the same spec gun, and to keep the playing field level, teams will not be permitted to make any adjustments to these new air guns.
Leveling the playing field makes for an exciting race, but when you want to blow the competition away, check out the unmatched selection of parts on eBay Motors.
You can shop every part for every ride at ebay.com/motors. One to go. Ricky Stenhouse had an uncontrolled tire on his pit stop. Puts him to the back of the line.
Boy, we've been seeing that a lot. You saw that in Texas. Now we're seeing it again today. Really focusing on that, on the tires being outside the box.
Well, and I think, you know, that pit crew is just so coordinated with these 5 crew members, and the fueler can't really do anything. It's so easy to let one of those tires get away from you.
Jamie McMurray, too many men over the pit wall. Goes to the back for the restart. Ready for stage 2. Sophomore driver, last year's Rookie of the Year, Eric Jones, in a Joe Gibbs Toyota, against the Ganassi Chevrolet of Kyle Larson up on the high side.
Yeah, I believe that Jones boy is going to be pretty tough today, guys.
Geico restart zone. There they are. Here we go. Green flag. Kurt Busch got a great jump. He fired off 4th. Looks to the inside.
Oh, boy. Eric Jones used a lot of good judgment right there. He didn't cut down in front of the 48. That was close.
Great battle for 3rd and 4th and 5th back here between Jimmie Johnson, Kyle Busch, and Paul Menard.
Kyle Busch has got his car now where he can run up high. The car looks a lot better with that high line.
Oh, you got to be careful getting that high.
Whoa, baby.
Now, you said Jimmie Johnson. Where did he come from? Johnson worked his way up into the top 10 methodically, and when those 6 drivers that didn't stop on the previous caution did, that put Johnson up into 4th for this restart.
And I heard something out of Jimmie Johnson earlier today on race day here on Fox in FS1. He talked about the confidence that he had this race car all weekend long, and I think it's starting to show now. That car's working really well.
And Jeff, aerodynamics doesn't have a whole lot to do with your car this weekend. So, we got a car around here off turn 4.
And that is Chad Fincham. No caution yet. He gets down to the apron. He pulls away. We're going to stay green. So stay in green. Our crack statisticians say we need about 30 more minutes of green flag racing to get to the end of stage 2, at which point this race would become official. Not that we're racing the rain, but I hear Mother Nature tapping her foot in the distance.
Yeah. And you know that's creating even more urgency out there. They're going to push hard for every single position they possibly can every lap.
You know, I have to chuckle a little bit. Look at the guy leading the race, the 42, and look where he's running.
Right on the bottom.
I mean, we would expect him to be trying to dust that top groove off. But he's right up there, right around the bottom, and car looks really stable and looks good. Kurt Busch right behind him in that 41 car, backup car. He looks good.
Well, and here's our Fox visor cam was on Darrell Wallace there.
Oh, Darrell is giving us some beautiful shots.
Yeah, he has. That's an awesome view.
Jeff, how do you know whether or not there's an inch between you and that car in front of you?
You only can feel it. You don't know until you see the back of that car go out. You just try to slide up there ever so slightly and just either put pressure on them to make a mistake or give just enough of a nudge to get you enough room to go on to the inside and go on by.
You feel it, Mike. I mean, you feel that guy. Even if he's not touching you, you know he's back there and you can feel it. That's what I call worrying a guy to death. Put that bumper right there underneath that guy and just worry him to death.
Well, you were one of the best at it.
Well, make him make a mistake.
During the race, between races, anytime.
7-time champion Jimmie Johnson is worrying the heck out of Erik Jones right now.
Yep.
Seen some sprinkles on our camera lens there.
That may be why Jimmie Johnson's in such a hurry, too. You know, he's got a little bit better car than Erik Jones. Don't know if he can get around him or not, but he's sure looking hard.
That kid, there's a lot of Terry Labonte and Erik Jones. That kid is an Iceman.
Well,
really
that was a really smart move right there. We don't know how long this race is going to go, if it's going to go the full distance, but he saw Jimmie Johnson was putting a lot of pressure on, a little bit better than he is right now, and there was enough of a gap to slide in behind him.
Yeah, old Cool Breeze just went by him, I'll tell you, Matt.
Richard Childress racing for 18th, Newman and Austin Dillon.
I think what's happened, Mike, with the traction control, the traction compound, I think these guys have adjusted to where it is now, and it's pretty good for where we are in the race.
14th place at stake here. Make that 13th, beginning with Casey Kane, then Daniel Suarez and Brad Keselowski. The first of the cars that pitted at lap 130. The others are right behind Brad. Boyer, Stenhouse, Newman, Almirola.
And Brad knows he's got a really good race car. He's got to stay patient as patient as he can right now. He has a car that can move up through the field, and he's doing that as we see Joe Logano doing the same thing here, moving up in front of one of the best here. Two of the best, really. Look at Kyle Busch with teammate Denny Hamlin right behind him.
Yeah, that 18 is not, it's still loose. He hadn't gotten that car tightened up yet.
It just seems like right now the track has not come to the 18 of Kyle Busch. That car's still too loose.
Yeah, he just jumps it. When he really pushes it hard, it gets loose on him.
William Byron, Kevin Harvick. This is for 7th.
Boy, credit. A lot of credit to that rookie, William Byron, and all the Hendrick cars right now. You've got Jimmie up in 3rd. You've got Bowman in 5th, and then Byron in 7th.
And do you notice Byron seems to be shadowed? Oh, got a car around it.
Bayne off turn 4.
Trevor Bayne brings out the caution.
Uh-oh.
Here come the leaders. And Bayne,
hold it tight, let it roll down nice and easy.
Oh, right down in front of Martin Truex.
Now, I think he was either trying to work the high line and lost control of the car up there.
Whew. Trevor Bayne is from nearby Knoxville. His home track has not been good to him.
Yeah, you can see him just creeping up high. And right now, there's just not a lot of grip up there, especially in the exit of turn 4. And you can see you got the right rear to where it's ground down up there and really slick.
I don't know, man. I'm sorry. Struggling. Can you watch him come down? All clear here.
Bayne was running 25th, last car on the lead lap. And the free pass will go to Matt DiBenedetto. Now the leaders, Larry, were in not long ago, lap 130, 26 laps ago for some of them.
Yeah, only 20 laps. You know, you may see a little bit of a mixed bag, and then Kyle Larson stays out, and here comes Kurt Busch and Jimmie Johnson. So definitely split decision, what I talked about at the top of the show.
Harvick coming as well, along with Hamlin and Moore. Matt?
A number of cars looking to work on their balance. Kevin Harvick is one. He said that it's just too free to try to run the top side. Jimmie Johnson on the top side, he says, if anything, I need help with drive off on this 48 machine. And the same for the 41 of Kurt Busch. What a great run they have had from the back to the front. Great car, primary car in practice, showing it again now with the backup. Let's go to the front stretch and Vince.
The 43 of Darrell Wallace Jr. pitting from the top 15 position, just free on exit. That's really what he's struggling with. Said it fired off good, but it went away pretty quickly. So they're going to make an air pressure adjustment, try to give him some more stability. Jamie?
Keselowski says the track is getting good. That second groove is definitely getting better. About another 20 laps. Meanwhile, the 18 of Kyle Busch saying running top, his car's just not cutting on throttle. So he wanted an adjustment to help that.
93 laps to go in stage 2. Ready for the restart in Bristol. Bubba Wallace to the back, too fast entering in the section just before his pit stall. He was speeding. They're going to add a lap here. Although the lights were out on the pace car, they've turned them back on. Now the first 6 drivers in line, Larson, Jones, Bowman, Menard, Byron, and Logano, did not stop. So they have tires that have been on there since lap 122. Everyone else on the lead lap was just on pit road.
Yeah, Mike, that rain is really picked up as they come across the track here.
Let's have a look at how the Coca-Cola family of drivers are faring in today's race. Kyle Larson, the leaders. They've got 3 in the top 10 with Logano and Hamlin.
Not a bad rundown, really. All the guys are running pretty good today.
Yeah. Counting Matt DiBenedetto, who got the free pass, 26 cars on the lead lap. 89 laps to go in stage 2. Let's take a look at our Xfinity pit stops. Fastest pit stops from the last round. You know, Larry, the times that we expected with one less man over the wall this season were a lot higher than what we're seeing.
I mean, when we started out at Daytona, it was like the Keystone Cops. We were lucky to get below 20 seconds, and to see what they have done now, and this just being the 8th race, just think about it. There's a lot of things went on. One less man. The fuel man cannot do anything but fuel the car, and air guns that were designed to be slower. So it's a total package, and to see where they're getting, it's pretty amazing.
Great athletes, good coaching, and innovation.
Yeah, I think that puts the pressure on everybody, Mike. When they start seeing times like that, it makes you want a tire changer go a little quicker, but the gun's only capable of doing so much. That's where some of the complaints about the gun come in.
And that's what I was going to say, DW. 13.4 on Keselowski. I wouldn't want to try to get to a 13.2.
Trevor Bayne's brought out the most recent caution flag. Kyle Larson, Eric Jones, Chevy and Toyota, Bowman and Menard, Byron and Logano, your leaders. Every weeknight, get opinion and analysis from the experts. 165 laps complete in Thunder Valley. Most laps today. I think the jet dryer is probably in second place in that category. Another rainstorm has called the field to pit road. Cars getting covered up, drivers climbing out for the moment as we wait for what we hope will be another little brief rain shower to pass. And then we've got one more pretty good sized window to get much more of this race in. So while the red flag is out, let's go down to Chris Myers and Michael Waltrip to recap things.
Thanks, Mike. And a third red flag of the afternoon here in Tennessee. And it started with action right away. Michael McDowell loose, racing Daniel Suarez, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. Two of the 8 cars caught up in it.
Chase Elliott there, you can see with heavy damage. Jimmie Johnson in the 48 car slipping through the middle of that mess, and he's got a fast car today.
All right, red flag out. Lap 50, we were there for 25 minutes. 8 laps to go in stage 1. Trevor Bayne involved with Chris Buescher, race leader Ryan Blaney nowhere to go, and leading 99 laps, taken out of the race and frustrated.
Yeah, Bayne just didn't have room to slide up the racetrack. Chris Buescher with a fast run off the corner, and they made contact. Unfortunately, the leaders were right there. And then some strategy, Chris. A lot of the leaders pitted. Brad Keselowski elects to stay out. That's great. He wins the stage, gets that playoff point and some stage points, but it's put him back in traffic.
Yeah, and Brad Keselowski trying to win his first race of the year in the Hollywood Hotel. Our Monster Energy race break continues here in Bristol, Tennessee. You thought that other drivers should have stayed out. Keselowski played it smart.
Well, I think it was a good move, and plus he had some other racers that indeed did stay out behind him. You got to figure if you're back in the points, it's a chance for you to get some ground, gain some points, and you never know how valuable a playoff point can be for Brad Keselowski. So I like the system. I like how these drivers and crew chief have to figure out how to switch things up to gain ground and maybe make some momentum toward a championship.
Kurt Busch had to start back of the pack. Backup car has had some momentum towards the front. He's standing by with our Matt Yoakum.
Five-time winner looking for number 6. For everything that could go wrong for you over the past 24 hours, it's like everything is now going right.
I have really no idea what's going on. I'm just trying not to run into anything and trying to run the car at 85% pace, because as soon as you try to go a little bit too aggressive, the car slips and slides. The VHT, the compound's coming up, air pressures are building up, but I'm just happy everybody else is as loose as I am at lap 40, because that's where we wrecked in practice. But you don't want to wish any ill will on anybody, but man, we are moving and shaking with our Haas Monster Ford. I mean, everything's everywhere right now, and they're trying to get the race restarted with 1 lap to go before a break, which is pretty wild. So if the fans aren't entertained by this, I surely am.
What are you seeing as far as the track condition? How are things changing?
It's crazy. Everything's everywhere right now. You don't know what lane to trust, and it takes a while for the car to come in. I think my little brother, it looks like Denny's really struggling on the restarts. Some guys are super fast on restarts. Some guys are pretty slow once we get going for 40, 50 laps. So a lot of craziness right now. So it's pretty wild. I'd give it 2 thumbs up and 2 thumbs down at the same time.
And let's go to his little brother, who, by the way, he once again called himself the Shrub on Friday when he scored that pole. Jamie?
He is the little brother, but he's definitely the taller brother. Kyle Busch, 9th, started on pole today. What are the track conditions for you, Kyle? I know you were working the upper group, trying to get up there.
Yeah, it was there for a little bit. As the pace slows down and the rubber kind of gets chunking up a little bit on the bottom, you can kind of start moving around a little bit. Seems like the top lane kind of comes to life a little bit, but it just, you can't ever get the rhythm going with this many cautions and this many brakes and things like that. You know, you just can't really get going anywhere. So, you know, we're really struggling on restarts. I don't know what's going on, but just sideways loose, getting into the corner, and then it just comes out of the spray on the bottom, and can't control it. Guys get by me. We just keep falling back, and then once it's time we get a rhythm going and start moving our way back forward, we get another break, you know. So just need to get the weather out of here if we can, and have a solid 335 left to go, and I think we'll make our way back up.
How about the traction compound at this moment? Is it starting to give up a little bit finally?
It's definitely giving up, but the terrible part about it is it's starting to clump up. The rubber just starts balling on top of the racetrack, and it's just like you're on ice. It just slides and chatters and gets you really out of control really bad. So a lot of guys are kind of fighting that, but when it starts to do that and you kind of start getting into it with a little bit of lap cars and start slowing it down, then you can start going around the top, and then you can start making the top work. So we kind of had a little bit of that when Larson and I started making our way back forward right before that big crash in 3 and 4.
Thanks, Kyle. Let's go over and talk with his teammate, with Vince Welch.
Well, the driver listed as the leader right now is Eric Jones. Kyle was talking a little bit about unable to get into the rhythm because you go for a while at range, you go for a while. Have you had an opportunity to truly evaluate what you've got yet?
Not really. I think the longest run we've had has only been, 50, 60 laps, so that's not very long, and you don't really know what your car's going to do because the track's changing so much. We ran on the top, we ran on the bottom, so it's kind of tough to get a feel for the DeWalt Camry, but hopefully we can get back going here again and get it all hammered out. It's really challenging this year. The cars are driving pretty different than what they did last fall or even last spring. Really loose, pretty low on grip, so just trying to figure that out, trying to figure out how to optimize speed from that, so hopefully we can get it back in the right direction here going green.
Yeah, well done so far. Matt?
Vince, Jimmie Johnson, 2 wins here in Thunder Valley, including that victory 1 year ago. This is like vintage 48 the way the last 24 hours have gone for you. P7 at this juncture.
Yeah, P7 with a lot of adversity that we've had to overcome with flat tires. Cut 3 tires through the course of the weekend somehow. 1 in the race today, and thankfully the caution in the stage kind of concluded when it did, or I guess the competition yellow to get that tire off the car. But the car's fast. It's been really good. Everybody's been working very hard to make these cars more stable and comfortable to drive. We've had it the last few weeks, but we've had this bad luck following us, and it'll change eventually, and hopefully today. Those approach Chevys really fast.
This place really gives you a menu of opportunity of where you want to try to pick lane choice, but it certainly has been a challenge today. What do you feel like you need to do to your car the next time you pit to give it that extra step up in performance?
I think as we start moving up the racetrack, you'll want your car looser and looser. As we start laying rubber, that just takes away front grip. And to run as fast as you do around the top, you want a loose car. So I think we'll all start freeing up, especially if we're able to get some long green flag runs. So, I'm thinking that way. I know the entire field. We'll see what happens. Just real quick, want to say hi to my girls back home. Thanks.
Chris?
And always thinking of the kids, which is a good thing. So for Hendrick Motorsports, searching for that first win of the year, we know Chase Elliott, the early wreck, the uncontrolled tire for Alex Bowman, and Jimmy starting back. But now at least 3 of the drivers moving up in the top 10.
Yeah, great run for William Byron. He's been very solid. And I'll tell you who it's most frustrating for today is Chase Elliott. I mean, he has a fast car. Got in that early crash and didn't get a chance to show it. I love what I'm seeing from Jimmie Johnson, though. The longer this race goes, he just seems to be picking up more and more pace. He could be a real player as we wind these laps down.
And Eric Jones finished, second here in the summer. He led 260 laps, and this was his best Cup finish.
And a couple of Xfinity wins here, too, so he can really get it done. And this car's been solid all weekend. He was one of my pre-race picks to go get the checkered flag today. He certainly hasn't disappointed.
All right, we're under our 3rd red flag. It's the first one because of weather, the other 2 because of all the action on the track. And we've been dancing between the raindrops. That's where we are right now. Our Monster Energy Race Break, live from Bristol, Tennessee. In the midst of short track racing in Tennessee, that was Martinsville, and that man ended a winless string of 190 races. Clint Boyer pulling into victory lane, celebrating with his son Cash, and seems like he's been celebrating ever since, but it was a very popular win for a guy who really had to battle and earn it, and he's hoping to have more success today as Clint Boyer getting his first win in a Stewart-Haas Ford. And this was a race at Martinsville, obviously, that was postponed until the next day, but it was worth the wait for Clint Boyer in the 14 Ford. Let's check in with him now, standing by here at Bristol with our Timmy Little.
And the delays were no issue for Clint Boyer and his crew chief, who he's talking to, Mike Bugaravich. And we're just reliving your win there from just a few weeks ago. You know, when we come back to a short track like this, I think a lot of people naturally look to you. How has the weekend kind of lived up to your expectation?
Well, that's just it. It's easy to get feeling and confident that way within yourself, within your team and your organization coming to another short track, but this is a whole nother beast. This VHC stuff is kind of throwing everybody for a loop all weekend long. The tire this weekend has a lot more stagger than we've had here all of a sudden miraculously, so that's been something that's throwing everybody for a loop as well. The weather, it's just been a crazy chaotic weekend for us. Mike made a good call keeping us out there, got some stage points that was valuable and could play into our hand at the end of this thing too. So we're digging, we're really loose. I'm got my hands full getting into the corner, and that's where I'm getting beat the most. Taking some pretty big swings at it in the pits and things like that, but our Haas Automation board's pretty loose right now.
We know you don't have the most patience of all the drivers out there. How do you keep yourself just focused and in the game when we start and we stop like this?
Well, I kind of like this. I mean, the thankful thing is we're at a track like Bristol where, these dryers really can dry this track in a short amount of time. I almost just stayed in the car because I'm confident we're going to get it back out there. I think we'll get this thing to halfway. Who knows what's after that? I know there's a gremlin coming pretty bad. This thing's going to show its ugly face here before sooner or later, but hopefully we can get it in before that happens.
All right, Clint Boyer in the 14 will restart 19th. Vince?
Well, one of those that's having a pretty solid day is Alex Bowman. Currently sits third. You guys recovered from a uncontrolled tire penalty, now running in the top 5. But what have the conditions been like that give you an indication that maybe you've got a car that can stay there?
It's been different every run and different depending on how wet the racetrack is or isn't. So definitely kind of been an up and down day with that pit road penalty, but glad we rebounded from it. Our Nationwide Camaro ZL1's been pretty good. We've been right around the bottom so far, so if it would quit raining long enough, the top would probably come in and we'd have to see what our car's going to do up there, but it's been good so far. I just wish the rain would make up its mind and figure out if it's going to rain us out and we're going to come back tomorrow or if we're going to get to race, so we'll see.
We wish it would make up its mind as well. Chris?
All right, thank you very much, Vince. Let's take a look, because Bowman is part of this. Those drivers seeking their first Monster Energy Cup Series win overall, and where they are currently in this race. And it's worth pointing out, as we did on the pre-race show, Michael, that drivers like Dale Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace got their first Cup wins ever at this speedway.
And it would not surprise me at all, Chris, if any one of these young racers can get their first win here at Bristol. They've proven to be able to handle these banks. They know how to dice through the traffic. I like the way they attack this place. I think they could win.
All right, we'll go to a guy who knows how to navigate his way around here, and Denny Hamlin, and he is standing by. Denny?
Currently P10 on the running order. And Denny Hamlin, when you look at the start, stop, dealing with the rain issues, how does that change the intensity?
Well, I think that the track's about ready. Once we get going, I think it's going to be about, half hour more of racing at the most. And then I think we'll be done for the day. So I think that it's going to be very intense. Once we get back going, I think everyone knows that. Hopefully we can just get on the racetrack and get this stage over with. And, I think that we're in a good spot. We're finally on the outside on a restart. We have new tires, and most of the guys in front of us are all on old tires. So I hope we get this thing going.
And by the way, you've got a huge event this Thursday night, the Short Track Showdown, your big charity. We're going to let you get to the car. They're calling the drivers to the car. So hurry up, my man. Get back to the 11 car, Jamie.
And Austin Dillon, we're close to his car. How is it so far, Austin?
We've had a really good Team Realtree Fishing Chevrolet all day, and we were up the 10th right before into that stage, and we decided to take tires, and we didn't have a great pit stop, and then the motor shut off under caution, so I lost some more track position. And we got a car. I just want it to stop raining so we can go green for a while. I think we can get our way back to the top 10.
Got to keep an eye on that engine. Don't let that thing shut off again.
All right, so starting, we're 85 laps from completing stage 2, Michael, which would make the race official, and you heard their point of view. They're racing the rain along with each other and this speedway.
And then who does that favor, Chris? Does it take a veteran like Clint Boyer, who's sort of seen it all, or Kevin Harvick? Kyle Busch as well? Or how about Eric Jones? Maybe it gives him a chance to reset and just figure out exactly what he's got for a car, talk to his crew chief, plan ahead for some adjustments that might make the difference.
Kyle Larson, first 202 laps last Bristol in April, and he was the stage 1 winner. Pit road speeding penalty cost him, finished 6th. He's in good position here, just ahead of Jones and Bowman when you talk about an experienced young driver versus someone maybe with less experience.
Well, you can see the rundown on the left there. There's so many guys. I would almost take any one of those top 20. Great run for David Reagan. I know he's back in 20th. He led final practice yesterday, so they found some speed in that car. He'll be fun to watch in this race.
Yeah, and just where Joey Logano, Jimmie Johnson, Kurt Busch, guys, and Kyle Busch, who have had success here before, watch out. Exciting racing. It may be a little bit condensed, but they're getting back in the car, and we'll get back to racing. We're glad you're watching NASCAR on Fox from Tennessee. That's the face of Kyle Larson searching for his first win of this year, and he's our leader with UC 85 laps to go. 7 different leaders today. Stenhouse Jr. the fastest lap. Let's get ready to go racing again. Rejoin Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, and Jeff Gordon.
Thanks, Chris. 165 laps are complete as the drivers climb back in after the 3rd red flag of the day. And folks, despite all the rain, this is the best weather in the southeast. We've seen pictures of baseball-size hail in Lake Wiley, South Carolina. There's been tornadoes touched down. I believe they closed the tower at the Charlotte airport for a while. It is messy everywhere but Thunder Valley, where we are ready to go. And all of this weather and the threat of more makes it tough on crew chiefs. So it's time for winning decisions. Brought to you by McDonald's $1, $2, $3 menu.
Yeah, and this would have to do with my trends. You see right there, I look at them every week. Our last 10 Bristol spring races, the average of the last caution, 18 to go. 5 races with 10 to go and 4 overtimes. Those are out the window right now. My best friend on making my winning decision is watching that weather radar, and I have to believe even some decisions that were made right there, like Chad Johnson with Kyle Larson in the 42, they are looking right now at lap 250, the end of stage 2, but that weather radar. That's your best friend for making that McDonald's winning decision.
Thanks, Larry. Drivers back in their cars, getting ready to go.
Mike, if there was a racetrack where I wanted to get out and walk around a little bit, this would be it.
Now, it used to be these races were complete at halfway. The new rule with stage racing is a race is official once we get to the end of stage 2. The race could not be put off to the next day and restarted. It would be official. So we're racing at least to stage 2 and hopefully for the whole 500 laps.
Well, we heard from Denny Hamlin. I think he said it best. We know that what's behind this opening that we have, so we've got it's probably not going to be good after that. We're going to get heavy rain. So there's a window of opportunity here to get to the end of stage 2, and yes, it's going to be chaotic to get there.
Remember that word I used in our pre-race show? Urgency? Well, we're getting ready to see it on display.
Urgency ×2.
All right, here's the weather radar. And green is not money.
We're in a pocket.
Yeah, we have this nice little pocket here.
Yeah.
Where hopefully we can get more of this race in. We need at least 20 minutes of green flag time to get to the end of stage 2. What is coming down here that's currently down in the Great Smoky Mountains from Sevierville to Asheville and beyond? That is nasty, and that's going to be the rest of the afternoon. Don't expect that to break up as it comes up here toward Bristol.
Remember that old song, Catch a Falling Star and Put It in Your Pocket? Well, right now we got a little pocket to put that star in.
Can't say I've ever heard that song, but
let me sing
I like where you're going with it.
Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Save it for a rainy day.
That's what we've been missing.
Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Never let it go away.
Some singing from old Darrell Waltrip here.
On a more modern note, what kind of music does, say, Joey Logano like?
Lately, I've been into kind of like the old school hip hop, some maybe 90s, 2000s. That's kind of where I'm at lately. I don't know why, but it changes about every few months that I get into something different.
You know what I don't like about that? Old school. He's talking about 2000, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, the 90s are not exactly old school, as far as I'm concerned.
I think he was born in 1990.
I'm telling you.
Perry Como sang that, by the way.
Yeah, he did. I know.
Jeff has no recollection of Perry Como whatsoever. Nor does anybody under 60. Don't feel bad.
How about Doris Day? How much that doggy in the window?
Did you see the official just throw up their arms? They heard you.
Doris Day, she got over in Carmel, California. She got a hotel that's just for dogs.
Yeah, Morris Day I'm familiar with, not Doris Day.
Come on, man.
What was it? Morris Day in the Time?
In the Time, yes.
Yeah. I don't know. There you go.
You guys are killing me.
If there was a shark, we would have jumped it by now.
Come on, get in the Wayback Machine with me.
That was my Wayback Machine.
His Wayback and your Wayback are about a generation apart.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. There's the visor cam that Bubba Wallace kind enough to wear for us. We've got some trick shots for you. We've got that side panner camera on the 88 of Alex Bowman. Thanks to Greg Ives and his team for allowing us this extra view out the right side. And we've got a suspension cam on A.J. Allmendinger's car.
And a spring rubber that's hanging there ready to go.
What they did is you can see that tie wrap where that held that spring rubber in there. They just reach in there and grab, get a hold of that rubber and flip it out of the spring, and it's just hanging there by the tie wrap.
As loose as everybody's talking about being, I don't think we're going to see that go in that spring.
But I think that was put there in anticipation that if the track tightened up, that would give you a great adjustment.
Yeah, they can pull it out or they can reach in there and slam it in, either one, whatever the car's doing.
Another neat view, this from the left side of Denny Hamlin's car. Looking over at teammate Kyle Busch.
Just amazes me how low these cars go. I mean, they're just right on the ground everywhere we go.
27-minute red flag has been lifted, and we're back underway with 84 laps to go in stage 2. Here are your Toyota top performers of the day thus far. Eric Jones will restart on the front row. Everybody's still on the lead lap in that list. In fact, we will restart with 26 lead lap cars.
And Mike, people keep saying, what about the vortex? Folks, got to get the cars going. You got to create that turbulence to get that vortex to work. So we got to get these cars going around in circles.
Your singing has created enough turbulence for one day.
Will it go around in circles?
I feel a vortex right up here in the booth.
I had a car named Wilma one time. Will my car make it? Will my car blow up? Will my car win?
We had a modified driver who raced as Willie Make It. That was the name painted on the car.
Hey, you want to know a good name?
And sometimes he did.
You know a good name for a dog? Rex. Not R-E-X. W-R-E-K. Rex.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think I'm going to think on that one for a while.
No, come on, Rex.
Hey, let's talk numbers. Let's get off of that. Let's talk some Darrell Waltrip numbers here.
Well,
at
if
Bristol
you want to talk about me,
I know
we can do
that.
Yeah, then you won't have to talk about you. Look at this.
I looked this up this week and was blown away. August of 1977 to April 1984, 14 races, 9 wins, an average finish of 1.5, and 7 of those wins were in a row.
Well,
amazing.
that's what helped me. I didn't fall out of many races here.
And you did that with different teams.
Yeah.
That makes it even more impressive.
The Gatorade team, and of course, when I went to Junior, and I always like to say this, with Junior Johnson, I had 2 and he had 2, and you put them together and we had 5. And that's really what made me good here.
Fellas, we're going racing again.
Woohoo! Look at that. Junebug. Well, the original Junebug.
Legend as a driver and as a car owner.
You have never lived until you. One of my greatest thrills of life was driving for that man right there. He was my hero when I was growing up as a kid in Owensboro.
Lights out on that pace car.
So Kyle Larson elects the outside with Eric Jones. Next to him on the front row, Menard and Bowman, Logano and Byron, Kurt Busch, Jimmie Johnson, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin will be your top 10. Pace car is in.
I think that inside's going to be a handful on this restart.
Green flag.
Here we go again. Old Paul Menard, he's hooking at the outside and he's going somewhere.
So is Joey Logano. And here comes Kurt Busch on the outside.
Whoa, Menard got a little bit loose. That opened the door for Logano looking underneath Menard. He's going to hold off. The Wood brothers going for their 100th win. It'd be great to get it here.
That's Stenhouse and Bowman side by side. Boy, Eric Jones did not get going, and he's now holding up that whole inside line.
Yeah, those tires sat there, got cold. That traction compound, it needs some heat and temperature before it starts getting the grip that these drivers are looking for.
Yeah, I think that's the whole key, Mike. It's got no heat in the tires, and the traction compound, it needs a little heat in it to get grippy.
So right now, the first 10 drivers that restarted in the outside lane have moved into the top 10 spots.
Boy, I tell you what, Joey Logano is all over Menard here. See what happens. Get that nice run off to high line there for turn 4. It gives you a little speedway.
Busch is going to look to the outside.
Straightaway.
Oh no, Denny Hamlin's to the inside of Kurt Busch.
It's getting pretty good up in here, boys.
And Daniel Suarez, despite that injured thumb, he is right in the mix here in 6th.
This race is working out perfect for Suarez. Yeah. He hadn't had any long runs to really test that thumb. He's been able to hang in there pretty good.
Yeah, and if anybody's hoping this thing only goes to the end of stage 2, he'd be one of them.
Logano inside the 21, looking for 2nd. Not that time.
Yeah, Paul Menard's just making life a little difficult for Joey Logano, so he can't get that traction up off the bottom of the racetrack.
Hey, Jeff, if they keep racing like this, Kyle Larson will lap them. He's gone.
Yeah, he's checked out.
Long gone.
Oh, Stenhouse gave Suarez a boot in turn 3.
Yeah, I think Stenhouse is getting a little impatient with Suarez.
Boy, give Stenhouse some credit. Remember, he spun earlier with contact between Eric Jones and himself. Nice comeback.
Eric Jones finally got to the top, but he's all the way back in 15th, along with, oh, he's way high.
Yeah, that's too high.
In turn 4, too high.
Yeah, that car just has gone all the pieces. He's trying to find somewhere to hook up, but he can't find anywhere.
Remember, that's where we saw Trevor Bayne lose control and spin out. Eric Jones did a nice job of just keeping this car going straight.
I heard a lot of guys say when the tires set a little while, cool off like that, they just don't work the same.
Replay on the right of what happened to Eric Jones. Denny Hamlin for 3rd against Joey Logano now. And Ricky Stenhouse has moved up a spot. He is right behind Kurt Busch.
Denny Hamlin struggled in practice trying to get the balance of this race car, the grip on the entry, but yet get it to turn the center. They found something right at the end of that happy hour, that final practice, and it's showing up now.
Vince Stenhouse is looking to the top 5 spot here.
Well, and you guys mentioned it. Not only did he spin, but remember, Stenhouse had an uncontrolled tire penalty today as well. Now he's knocking on the door of the top 5. We've been talking all day about how much speed they've had, and he has shown it all day long.
Yeah, Vince, we know he loves this track, and we know he's had a good race car, and now he's got a good position there on the track. So I expect big things out of that 17 car.
Well, the big number is right there. That is the distance we've got to go to get to the end of stage 2.
Boy, heck of a battle going on back here for 10th position. 48 of Jimmie Johnson on the outside. He just went by the 18 of Kyle Busch on the outside, now working the outside of the 3 of Austin Dillon, making that outside work.
Yeah, that 48 car, Jeff, that's the best I've seen that car look this year, and it is fast. He can go around the outside about as good as anybody right now.
He's gone by to the outside of Kurt Busch and made that pass.
About the middle of the track, looks like there's a lot of grip right there.
I think Kurt Busch has an issue. He's falling back.
You're not seeing Kyle Larson because he's stepped out to a 5-second lead, but look at all this great battling as Kurt Busch drives to the apron. He's coming in.
He's going to go around.
Oh, he held on.
Man, he saved him. Come on, you get there. The banking really saved him.
Obviously has a flat tire.
But he held on.
Boy, Mike, when they come off turn 2 or turn 4, somebody on the outside of you, man, that's treacherous. Woo!
Matt?
Kurt Busch reporting possible loose wheel on the 41. It was progressively getting worse. Did not want to take a chance anymore. Lateral loads here are just so intense on these race cars. Jack up. Left side's off, on. Losing a lot of time here on the 41.
Now, he was in 5th place when he came to pit road. Austin Dillon there in the 3 having a strong day. In 10th, Casey Kane right behind in 11th. Alex Bowman in 12th. And it looks like Almirola has rubbed all the letters off the left rear.
Yeah, I think he's made slight contact with somebody just enough to push that fender on that left rear. And there's not a lot of smoke there, but boy, I don't know how long you can go before that tire gets cut down.
Well, I know there's a heck of a race back here, but let me tell you something. That 42 car, he's going to lap all of them. He is coming. He's coming up behind the pack here.
Ricky Stenhouse on a cloudy day goes underneath Joey Logano, who beats him off the corner, but
so much
Stenhouse is fast.
So much drive off that high line. If you can hook it up, you got a lot of speed right there.
Lapped car ahead, DJ Kennington.
Whoa, that was a bump. That's a bump. That's a bump.
That's a bump.
Hello, 3 bumps. Didn't seem to bother Logano any.
Oh, no. Not much does.
Guys, just think about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. At lap 61, 130 laps ago, he was the caution, and there he's up inside the top 5.
Kyle Larson with a straightaway lead on Denny Hamlin. Then Paul Menard just ahead of Joey Logano and Ricky Stenhouse, your top 5. We're going to go side by side at Bristol.
Thank you, my friend. You got any bologna?
Well, Mother Nature lost patience with the racetrack, and we're under caution at lap 203 for rain once again. But boy, we had some great action, as you saw, during that double box break. Show you what happened to Eric Jones as he got up and into the wall. No caution here, but
boy, I don't know. This 20 car just went all to heck on this run. I mean, he just couldn't do anything with the car. Got loose, smacked the fence.
And Joey Logano battling Ricky Stenhouse.
It's just, you know, they get to the edge. Normally that would catch the right rear tire and allow them to turn and carry momentum, but right now you get up there and you just lose it.
Fastest car on the track may be Kyle Busch, and he's been playing cut and thrust here.
Yeah, he's going through the field now. That thing's hooking up for him.
And that's actually pretty unusual to see Kyle doing that on the bottom. He's been real fast on the top. Here's Keselowski, also jumps over the edge of that rubber that's built up on the top. Jamie?
Well, you guys noted how fast the 18 of Kyle Busch was. Right when that caution came out for rain, he said, "We just need long runs, man. These guys will be my lunch." He said his balance is good, especially up top.
All right, 204 laps complete. Kyle Larson had stepped out to a straightaway lead of 7 seconds over Denny Hamlin, Paul Menard, Kyle Busch, and Ricky Stenhouse. Next weekend, we move to Richmond Raceway, and they are back to night races Friday and Saturday evening, April 20th and 21st. Get your tickets at richmondraceway.com.
Mike, this might be the most annoying Bristol race we've ever run, but I'm telling you, from a driver's perspective, they got to like this a little bit, because you run a little while, you get out, you get to stretch, you get to talk to your team, debrief a little bit before you go back to racing again.
But I mean, also, Daryl, from a fan standpoint, from us being up here in the booth, I mean, the racing has been unbelievable.
It's been insane, really.
Racing.
Really.
25 years ago, we lost a hero. Alan Kulwicki was the current Winston Cup champion. Friday night, on his way to back from an appearance in Knoxville, the engines iced up on his plane. We lost Alan and all aboard.
It's been 25 years since we lost Alan Kulwicki, April 1st, 1993. It was just 5 months after the Polish Prince shocked the world with one of the racing's greatest upsets.
There's the checkered flag for Alan. He's the champion for 92. And these are his words, a Polish victory lap.
But the evening before he was to take to the track at Bristol Motor Speedway, his plane fell from the sky and we lost him. But what was not lost, his mark on the sport. Kulwicki was one of the first outsiders to find success in NASCAR. He was tireless in his race preparation, an uncanny ability to control speed. An ambitious underdog who owned his own team, and he was known for taming the untamable.
Kulwicki winning Phoenix International Raceway.
Kulwicki wins 5 Winston Cup races, 24 pole positions.
I just wanted them to give him something to remember me by.
Just a few days before he had to defend his race win from a year earlier, Kulwicki's team withdrew from the race. As the team prepared to exit Thunder Valley, a NASCAR family gathered along the wall of the track. The number 7 hauler made one more lap in honor of its falling driver. And that is where the driver began the longest 4-hour journey of his life. And how do I know that? I'm Peter Jellin. I was behind the wheel. I made that drive in honor of Alan. Because as sad as we all were, and as hard as that drive was, Alan Kulwicki deserved one last lap.
This still hurts. And there's a fella, as a driver, he was a Robin Hood. His little team, Rob Top Finishes, from the powerhouse teams of the sport. He won a championship. He did it his way, and he turned the sport on its ear. Backyard engineering was no longer good enough. Alan Kulwicki brought college-trained engineers into racing and to stay. Alan deserves to be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Maybe this year. We're under the red flag at 204 laps. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Paul Menard, Kyle Busch, and Ricky Stenhouse are your top 5. Let's hear from the current 9th place driver. Here's Matt.
And speaking of Hall of Famers, Jeff Gordon, he's got to be a first-year shoe-in. This guy as well, when he finally decides to hang it up. But you're hoping for that outside lane to move in. In fact, you told Timmy Feedaway, your spotter, to keep you abreast of guys who are starting to migrate up.
Yeah, we feel like our car is going to run a lot better up there than it has on the bottom. We've just been real edgy, real close to being out of control on the bottom, and there's several of them. The Hendrick cars are pretty good. Obviously, I hadn't been around the guys up front, but you know, they can roll that bottom a little bit more comfortably than we can. So we'll see what happens. Our Busch Beer Ford is running fine. It just takes a little bit to get the edginess out at the beginning of the run. We got up there in the top 5, and Jack fell down and had to come back from 16th again. So we're making our way back to where we were. So it's been a little bit of a challenge, crashing in practice and starting in the back, but we've just kept fighting, and hopefully we can keep moving forward.
You watched the Xfinity race on Saturday. A lot of people were talking about it's almost like old Bristol, but like which old Bristol are you talking about? Because this place has had so many facelifts and the racing has changed so much during your era.
It's not old Bristol in my era. I can promise you that. It's different, and you know, they've made it very intriguing with the PJ1 on the bottom, and I don't think it's going to be too long with the top groove coming in. So it's definitely different.
All right, Jamie.
And his teammate Eric Almirola, 17th. You've had 17 starts here, but this is the first time with the new team, a new crew chief. What are some of the challenges you face when you come to a place like this?
Today we're challenged with everything. The weather, our car, damage right from the get-go starting the race. So it's been a challenge right from the drop of the green flag. Our car is just evil, edgy, out of control, up on top of the racetrack, and it changes from lap to lap, from corner to corner, and it just depends on how much rubber's getting laid down on that PJ1, and my car just seems to react differently almost every corner I get to, so it's been challenging.
So we've stopped and went. I think this is our 4th red flag. How does it impact the track when you guys get back on, if at all, with the rain?
It changes. It cleans the rubber back off and seems to make the middle lane kind of go for a few laps like we've seen, and then everybody kind of migrates right back to the bottom as that traction compound kind of gets heat in it and it sets off or does whatever it does. It doesn't like, when it's been sitting. We've seen that in qualifying and we've seen it in the race, but once it gets run on a little bit, it seems to just gain a lot of traction for a while, and then it gets rubbered up and caked up with rubber, and then it starts to lose grip and you can kind of move around. But the biggest challenge, is just start and stop, and trying to make sure I keep enough food in me. I'm hungry. I didn't hardly eat any lunch before we raced because I thought we were going to just sit in the bus all day. So, yeah, you never know. It's just a crazy day.
We certainly didn't know we'd be racing this far. So go get some food. When we do get restarted, Eric Almirola will roll off 17.
Over at the hauler, we'll have to go get some Smithfield bacon and get fueled up for the rest of the race.
I'll be right behind you. We're all hungry. Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, another Ford driver who's had quite a day at each end of the scale. Look at the graph on Ricky Stenhouse. He spun there at lap 61, fell to the tail end of the lead lap, never lost the lead lap, and then kept storming back up through. Now, his crew has had our Fox Procast located right outside their pit. That's been entertaining.
My name's Kale. I'm the front tire changer on the number 17 Sunny D car today. We've had a bunch of pit stops already. We got called for a penalty on a pit stop early. Not really sure what that was all about, but we bounced back on the next one. Had a really good stop, and we're going to come back from that, and hopefully we'll win this one today.
So we take our little Procast camera and we set it up outside one pit or another. There it is. And team members are encouraged to come over and give their comments and their reactions to what's been going on today, and we like to share it with you.
Mike, you can do it on your phone too. I've done it a number of times where I've used my phone to do a Procast for Fox Sports. So it's a really cool deal. You can be anywhere, do anything.
Great.
I just love the opportunity. We get to know some of these guys down there on pit road just a little bit more, because they are a huge part of this race team and their efforts on race day.
They work hard, I promise you that. Yes, they don't just show up on Sunday.
Now, we're apologizing for not being able to raise Brad Keselowski on the radio after he won stage 1, but we've got him now. Vince.
Yeah, they were trying to get you on the radio. They couldn't get a hold of you, so I don't know if you changed your frequency, but it's quite a disappointment when we're trying to get a hold of you and you're not answering.
I could hear you, Jeff. I'm sorry. I was trying to talk. It's like one of those cell phone commercials. Can you hear me now? But no, I wasn't trying to dodge you. Sorry, Jeff. But no, it's been a good. We got a great car, Vince. I really do. Winning the first stage was great. Running up front. Got cycled to the back here with the way the caution came at the end of the first stage. And just haven't been able to get back up to the front. I feel like we passed a lot of cars and then had a restart on the bottom lane, and I got to turn 1, and the outside lane was 6 car lengths ahead of me, and I lost 6 positions before I even got to the restart line. But that's just part of how it is. So, we got to get to running here. I feel like if we get a good, nice, long run, I can get up to the front and challenge for the win.
You say it's great. What makes it great? What gives you the feeling that you've got a great car?
Well, we're passing other guys. that always feels
a good start.
That's a good start. But it's in my hands. The car's in my hands. It reacts to what I'm doing, and that's half the battle in this garage and in this series, is to get the car to feel good, to where it'll react to your inputs. And the Discount Tire Ford today is doing that.
Good insight. Thanks, Brad. Mike?
Thanks, Vince. Brad was part of something very special on Fox Sports last year that we debuted at Pocono. Well, we're going to do it again.
On April 28th from Talladega Superspeedway, stars of the Monster Energy Cup Series are back in the booth as they call the Xfinity Series action the way they see it, all by themselves. Tune in Saturday, April 28th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, where the drivers-only broadcast team is live from Talladega.
Well, all I can say about that is the last time they did it was in Pocono. And while that's a 2.5-mile racetrack, like Talladega is a 2.66-mile racetrack, it is completely different. I think it's one of the most exciting races that we do. I think they're going to have a lot of fun.
I just like the perspective. You know, they don't ask us to come drive their cars, and unfortunately. I'd like to swap place. I'll drive one of their cars. They come up here. But when you get to do another person's job, you get a different perspective. It's not as easy as it looks, certainly, to drive that car, to come up here and do what we do. So I love when they get that perspective about what we do and how we do it.
You found that out here Friday, didn't you?
Yes, we did, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. You're safe. Trust me.
And so is Chris Myers.
I don't think anybody could do my job. Nobody wants to do this job because it's no. Actually, Brad Keselowski is going to be the host right for Talladega. He's going to be in the Hollywood Hotel. We've enjoyed him when he's been in the booth with you calling races. We just got some great insight from Brad Kerr.
Yeah, in your hands. The car's in your hands. I wondered what my problems were all those years. I couldn't quite get it there. But the guys joining us on the Fox broadcast is amazing. I'm not kidding you, Chris. You won't believe how it opens their eyes to our world. How many things are going on when we're trying to tell their story, what's going on the racetrack, right, and how we were able to describe it. And you know what I'd really love? Maybe just a little rain delay.
Yeah, for them, so they see what we go
through. They could just live through that a bit.
Well, the hardest part that whenever athletes make that transition is, you know, we wear an earpiece, and we have a producer, and Barry Landis in this case, Jake Jalvin on the pre-race show, and they're talking to us while we're talking to you, or talking to an analyst, or trying to describe the accident. So you have to try to make that as smooth as you can without interrupting, and that's a challenge I know that they'll have. And now he's telling me that Jamie Little is standing by with Ryan Newman, so that means we have to go there. Jamie.
Yes, Chris. We're one of the few left out here on pit road right now. And Ryan, you guys got damage early on. What exactly happened there, and were you able to repair it to your liking?
Yeah, we had the old accordion effect going into one on that. I guess it was the first restart, second start, and just got the left rear quarter wrinkled up pretty good and tire rub, and unfortunately caught another caution flag to be able to get it fixed before we went a lap down or crashed. So Bass Pro Cabela's Chevrolet has been good. We just haven't been able to show it yet. We did get some stage points, which was nice. I feel like the car's fairly balanced, but Mother Nature is just a hit and miss fan today.
We've certainly lost the track now officially, and you see all the rubber washing off the track. How much will that impact it, and what do you expect when we do get back to racing, whether it's today or tomorrow?
Yeah, it just seems like the jet dryers clean everything off and give us the ability to run side-by-side for a few laps on a restart. Then the bottom kind of takes over, and then the bottom kind of gives up a little bit, and the whole track is kind of available. We were just getting to the point where the track was going to get really racy. Not the racy that they want, but the racy that we as drivers want. And we felt like that, you know, we have a good car, and we're working our way forward. We just didn't get to prove it and show it because of the rain there.
When we get restarted, Ryan Newman will roll off lucky number 13. Matt?
Paul Menard has moved that 21 car up to third in the running order. And when you look at how this race has really changed as far as the lanes and everything else, the great options of being able to move around, and Kyle Busch, the 18, and yourself as well, moving the 21 a little bit more to the higher side.
Yeah, I mean, every lap the track changes somewhat. It's getting a bunch of rubber caked down the lower groove and that VHT stuff, and makes it really slick after a few laps on the bottom. I kind of got forced up in the middle on that restart. Joey got inside me, and I got up there. I thought there's pretty good grip, so I started working it, and it came in pretty decent. So it seems like you can fire off pretty good in the middle, got to get to the bottom for a while, then get back up top.
7 races in, and although your last name's Menard, you've become one of the Wood family. Classiest bunch, most genuine bunch you'll find in the garage area. What would it mean to you to score that magical 100 for them?
Well, it'd be huge, obviously, sitting at number 99 right now, and we want to get them number 100. And even though it's raining, it's a great day for it.
All right, thank you, Paul. Good luck. Chris?
All right, thank you very much. Boy, he's got that poker face. You can't tell, right? If you're playing cards with him, is he smiling? Is he happy? Does he like the hand he has?
I just like his cool demeanor, though. No matter what happens, that's Paul Menard. He's just right down the middle.
And first year with Wood Brothers, as mentioned earlier, right? Their next victory for them is 100 for the Wood Brothers.
And, he hopped out there in the Daytona 500, ran right up front. I thought he had a real chance to win that race for the Wood Brothers. And now, again, here at Bristol, he's showing speed that it's going to take to get to victory lane. And technically, Chris, they've already won. won 100 races.
Oh, that's right.
No, they've got 99 official. They won the All-Star race back in 1996.
So I like that. Give them a little credit there. Who was in that car?
I was.
Oh, that's why he brought it up, of course. See, nobody told us that in our ear. They said avoid that subject. So there's the guy who won a lot of races officially. Yeah. And boy, you talk about, Darrell Waltrip said when we were ranking, when Race Hub had that poll that as a driver, he'd be at the top of the list. Now you play, I know you've run a marathon, of course you race, you basketball, you're in that league. I think Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, we play over at Denny's house, and on my team, I've got the Dillon brothers and Ryan Blaney.
That's Denny's house.
Yeah, it's in his backyard.
Okay.
We hoop it up quite nice. Ricky Stenhouse comes and plays. You can see there's Dillon. You would not believe the speed Austin and Ty Dillon have. That is Ryan Blaney. Nice little jumper there from the outside.
This is 5-on-5.
Yeah, and I'm just confused most of the time. I led the league in FBG. Falls per game.
Now this is, wow, there's a trophy and this is full court. People don't realize, running back up who haven't played basketball, it will wear you out. Now, do any pit crew members get to slide in there because they're in great shape?
Yeah, a couple of the guys from Austin Dillon's crews on the league as well. And just to have the camaraderie and the fellowship with those guys and see their ability and mainly see their passion. It becomes quite obvious in a hurry why they're racers and how much it means for them to beat you, because that's all it's about.
It's about, competition at every level. We're under the fourth red flag today, some weather, some because of the action on the track. So just now, we haven't gotten to the halfway point, which is now 2 stages. If that's not the case, and this is the running order at the moment, so you can't call the race, it's not official. So if, let's say, the rain, we have lights here, how late they're going to push this, Michael, what would they do, pick it up tomorrow? Is that the other option?
Yeah, we'll go back racing tomorrow afternoon, and we'll pick up a lap 205 and race all the way to 500. And it'll be interesting if that is indeed the case, which is appearing could be possible, how that will change the complexion of the race. Just think about Kyle Larson. He just drove off to a 7-second lead over the field, basically. And if we go racing in different conditions tomorrow, how does his car react? We heard Kevin Harvick speaking earlier where he said, I'm looking forward to getting some long runs in because I think my car will be better then. This track is changing a lot. We've heard every driver say that. And how will it change if we come back and race tomorrow?
And during our last red flag, we talked about young drivers challenging veterans, the experience here with the rain coming. Let's check in with a young driver. Jamie is standing by with William Byron.
And he's doing a very great job considering this is your first time here in a Cup car. How's the car and how's your day been from your perspective?
Yeah, the car's been really good for us. We've had a good race car today. We kind of regrouped overnight and really went a whole different direction. So it's just been really good. We got stuck behind the bottom groove there on that restart and I think we restarted 5th and we're 15th now, but hopefully get some fresh tires on it and we'll be fine. Hopefully not get trapped on whichever lane goes, and should be good after that.
We know that you're a video game guy and you spend a lot of time in this simulator. So now that you're doing this full time, how much time are you spending in this simulator, especially for a track like this?
Yeah, you really spend a lot of time in it just because the rhythm is so important, and also some of the notes and things that can apply are also a little bit bigger here. So I feel like we spent 3 or 4 hours in there this week. Obviously starting to help towards the race, and I think just my previous experience here in the truck and Xfinity car has helped the most, and I feel like I know somewhat of what the racetrack's going to do and what that PJ1's going to do on the bottom. So it takes some heat down there, so I think you kind of know that going into the restarts and stuff like that. So I think that stuff is just previous knowledge.
So other than being a very gifted race car driver, William Byron, there's something about him that makes you very unique. You're an Eagle Scout. An Eagle Scout is something not many have made it to that level. What did you learn about being an Eagle Scout, and how did you balance it all with becoming a driver so young?
Yeah, really, when I was doing Boy Scouts, I was starting to race, so it was really kind of difficult to finish to be an Eagle Scout, but I really just did it during the off weeks, and I had a couple off weeks, and we would go camping almost every off week to try to get those nights and everything and try to finish that up. So it was good, and I learned so much from it. I feel like after the fact, just finishing the job on something and then also learning about how to be kind of independent and be a leader. So I think those things apply, especially in the race car. You have to lead your whole team, and then also you got to finish the job. The end result of the day is really the ultimate goal. So that's similar to what I did there.
So accomplished on and off the racetrack. Chris?
Yep, Jamie is so young, too. It looks like he's just barely a Cub Scout, let alone advancing. You heard him refer to PJ1. We call it traction compound or track bite. That was the one with all the terms that Larry discussed. But one of those young drivers challenging the veteran drivers. We asked some of the more established drivers about the youth movement in NASCAR.
Texas experience, it's been interesting because some of the youth is getting some experience. You know, you think of Ryan Blaney, he's been in this for a little bit now, and it's showing, right? He's got a lot of speed in the race cars.
Experience has definitely won out over youth this year so far. They've won pretty much all the races. I mean, there's a wide range of age. There's a wide range of talent. Everybody's out there doing their thing.
Good little rivalry we got going. You know, obviously, they're winning the races right now, but I think the young guns are really kind of showing some effort and trying to make that next step.
Youthful guys, you know, they take more risk and sometimes get a big reward for it, and the veterans seem to be more strategic in the way that they plan out these races.
Well, we heard that. Which one of the young guys, Joey, has impressed you the most through 7 races this season?
I think it's, I mean, a lot of them have, I can tell you that much, but I think when you think of, I mean, not only because he's my teammate, but Ryan Blaney, I think really probably stands out to me the most right now. You know, unfortunately, I caught up in a crash today, it wasn't even his fault, but, you know, from seeing his progression firsthand, has been pretty impressive to kind of see where, you know, when he first started with the 21 team, there really wasn't much back and forth. We were more or less helping them, and now we're using them maybe more than we can help them right now. They're even faster than we are. So his progression has been pretty impressive, and that whole team has been pretty impressive lately. So, you know, there's a lot of young guys that are fast. You know, Eric Jones is running well today. You know, you get Bubba Wallace having some really good runs in that 43 car. It's great to see.
It doesn't seem like it was that long ago that you were one of the young guys, and I know you're still relatively young. You're not old, but you're more experienced. You're more experienced. But when you think back to that time when you came in, what was the toughest transition for you?
Getting my butt kicked every week. That was a tough transition. These guys are really good. I think sometimes it gets overlooked, and I think when you put a professional in a situation, it always looks easier than what it really is. And I remember getting to the cup level and getting that slap in the face saying this isn't easy. So you know, I think they've done a good job kind of figuring out. The nice thing for them is that they kind of have like a little group. Like they all came in together. I came in by myself, and it's kind of a weird mix into where I was. So they got a cool little group. They can hang out with each other and lean on each other, and they race the heck out of each other as well, which is great to see. It's great for our sport, though. We need to have that transition of as drivers retire. We got to have good personalities, but great drivers as well to keep our sport running well, and we got that. So that's something that you know, I'm happy to see for the health of the sport. I'm happy to see I got someone to race against for another 20 years or so in my career, and you know, it's been fun to see it.
You know, we talk about young guys that we're getting ready to go to Chris Myers here, but we talk about young guys versus old guys. At what age do you become an old guy, do you think?
Age is just a number, isn't it? I don't.
What a politically correct answer that was, Chris.
I won't start with the old jokes. Let's remember Dick Berggren, our great reporter, who was a good sport. He knew the Dead Sea when it was getting sick. You know, he used to handle all those kinds of jokes. His Social Security number was 1, right? He was a busboy at the Last Supper. I'll stop. All right, so he said some interesting things at age 27. Joey's been in the sport for, what, 10, 11 years already?
Yeah, he's an accomplished veteran at the age of 27. That's pretty amazing. But I'm going to tell you what, as those young guys came in, as I became more mature of a racer, they just made me older faster. I remember when Jeff Gordon showed up, this kid from Indiana, I'm thinking, I've never seen anybody come in and set the world on fire. He did just that. And when Joey Logano came around, it was the same thing. Just right away, you could see he had the pace, the knowledge, everything it was going to take to be a winner, and it didn't take him long to prove it.
Yeah, and Joey got it right. You have to have some great drivers, good personalities, and if you have both, obviously success in the sport and the new wave of drivers, we hope. The only driver under the age of 30 to win this year, Austin Dillon, winning in the Daytona 500. Otherwise, it's the more established drivers. All right, continuing live here in Tennessee under a red flag, and some of the drivers are going to come hang out with us at the Hollywood Hotel. Young and old, we'll take all ages. Hey, and there's the leader of the race, Kyle Larson, standing by with us. Live on Fox, NASCAR under a red flag, and Kyle Larson is currently the leader. We're 46 away from making this official, and we're going to see where the raindrops fall. But great to have as he sips a Coke. This is not a drive-through, by the way, Kyle Larson. This is a sit-down in his McDonald's Chevrolet. Thanks for coming in and stopping by, saying hi.
Yeah, thanks. I could use probably a Big Mac right now.
We could send some over. All right, what's your thought right now? You're leading the race. Now, we know we've talked before when you were out there driving. You were busy, but how you led this before and the pit road penalty and all this. Is any of that enter your mind? Do you block out the past when you're in this position right now?
I don't really think about the pit road penalty stuff. I just kind of think back to where I've slowed down in the past. I feel like I've always, at least for the past 2 years or so, can kind of somewhat dominate the first half, and then as the track gets more rubber, I become more normal speed-wise and come back to everybody. So I'm just trying to figure out what I need to do to be a little bit better and my communication and the way I drive to be better the second half of the race.
Does it concern you? You just drove off to like a 7-second lead. That was awesome. You just left them in your dust. Does it concern you that your car was that good then, that when this track changes, as the laps wear on, that you're going to have to do something different to be good in the end? Is that what you're talking about adjusting?
Yeah, and you never really know kind of how the track is going to change, especially since they've added the VHT, because it seems like it changes, different every time we've came here the past couple of years. So you just kind of learn throughout the race and trying to adapt to it. But I felt like my balance was pretty good there, and I was taking it pretty easy and running really fast lap times. I know they were probably racing behind me, but I felt good about it. I had a good drive off and everything, and was just getting ready to move to the top before it started raining, and I think I really would have checked out then.
The guys behind you had begun to use the high groove, diming up and coming down low off the turn. Are those all tricks that you learned on the dirt tracks, just understanding that as the track changes, you have to change as a driver?
Yeah, I think that's been the number one thing that's helped me so far in stock car racing, coming from dirt, is being able to search around for different lines and not get so committed to one lane. I feel like when you grow up on pavement, you might move your line around a few feet at a time, but when dirt racing, you're changing it from the top to the bottom, back to the top to the middle. So you're always constantly looking for grip, and I think that really helps me here at Bristol.
Yeah, and you've led 67 laps of the 204 we've run. Ryan Blaney has led the most laps at 99. McDonald's does the the pick 3, the 1, 2, 3. So if it's not you, let's go with the top 3 competitors. Is it where the drivers stand now, or is there somebody you're thinking about? Give us your 3 to challenge for this if we get race it again.
Well, I think the 18 for sure. The little bit I was around him when we were on the bottom, I felt like he was good. I haven't been really around the 11 a whole lot, but he was able to charge to the front there that first little run, and then Keselowski will figure out a way to be up there, and Stenhouse, I know that's 4, but Stenhouse is always good here too.
It's fun listening to Kevin Harvick too. He thinks the track changing is going to wake his car up as well.
Yeah.
You're
can't ever count him out.
You're under the sense that your indication is that they want to try to finish this, right? I mean that this is not, even though the rain's coming down now and it may be down for a while.
I haven't heard anything, but my team kind of said that maybe by 10 o'clock or something we'll have some openings, and I feel like we've ran enough laps to this point that hopefully NASCAR or I don't know, but would like to just get it done tonight, and not have to wait till tomorrow afternoon.
Because it's not quite at that window that's official, the 2 stages. And we're glad you're in, especially we've wondered, of course, Darrell and Jeff said on the pre-race show they didn't think it'd be an issue for you, the physical pain, but after that wreck in Texas and the bruise was tweeted out, a little bit sore there, certainly has not been a problem for you.
Is that as hard as you've ever hit a wall in a cup car?
It's up there for sure. I felt like, so I think, G-forces wise, that was the biggest hit, but Fontana, to me, a couple years ago hurt the most, but I was able to golf with you quite a bit this week and loosen myself up. So
I never realized how big your arms are. That's impressive.
Good guns.
The right arm's much bigger from turning.
What do you do for something like that? Can you do anything for it during the week?
I didn't want to do anything for it. I wanted it to look good. And,
there you go.
Send out a picture.
Toughen it up.
Did you think about getting a tattoo near it?
No tattoos. Mom says I can't get a tattoo till I'm 99.
Well, you're only 25 years old, and we were just talking about young drivers in the sport, the next wave. I guess it's different, and you tell me, Kyle, where you stand. A guy like you or Joey Logano, more established young drivers, right, in your 20s versus those that have come up and haven't been able to win or have success.
Yeah, I feel like, Joey, I know he's young, but he's been
around
racing forever. And then I feel like I'm kind of in the weird spot of the, I guess I don't even get considered a young gun anymore for the media people. But I am young, but I have 5 years of Cup experience. So, but there's so many good young drivers this year, and more, in the trucks and Xfinity level, or even on your grassroots dirt track level, that you have the potential to make it the Cup Series. So it's going to be extremely tough here in a handful of years.
Tell me one name. You know dirt racing. You know these kids all over the country. You go there and race against them. You don't only know them, you know how they drive. What's a name that we can keep our eye on coming to NASCAR soon?
Well, yeah, I think, if you follow Christopher Bell and kind of where he came from USAC midgets with Keith Coons, Toyota picked him up and moved him up. I think the new guy now over there is Logan Seavey, and I've gotten to grow up with Logan. I've known him since he was probably 4 or 5, racing outlaw karts and stuff, and he's kind of filled Christopher's spot in a way over at Keith Coons Motorsports. So hopefully Toyota, since they didn't spend any money on me to get to the Cup level, will spend some more money on Logan. But no, I always joke with them. But
well, and Daryl picked Austin Dillon, to outrace you too. So
no, but Logan's the guy to watch.
And your Ganassi Chevrolet, I'm sure you're happy. I did it took your 99th race before you won your first career. And I want to read what your dad said, just going back, because persistence and patience for drivers is so important. He said, quote, I wanted him to do well, but if he didn't, I wasn't going to yell at him. I never wanted him to get to the point of saying, I don't want to do this because my dad is driving me nuts. So we know about fathers and family, whether they push them in baseball, football, racing. There has to be a nice blend there for you to be able to enjoy it, but for them also to be there for you.
Yeah, my parents always did a good job, I feel like, with not putting a whole lot of pressure on me to go out there and be good or anything like that, or push me to race. I don't think it, obviously I think my dad probably wanted me to race, but I don't think it would be the end of the world if I didn't. So it was nice that, they just made sure I had fun with anything I was doing, whether it was racing or Little League baseball or whatever. So I think that's important as a parent, and that's kind of how I want to be with Owen as he gets a little bit older, and we can start kind of getting an idea of what he's into. But I don't want him to think that he has to be me or anything like that.
What's it like as a dad and the way you were raised and watching Owen and wondering, is he going to get in a car? Is he going to want to hit a ball? What's he going to be into?
Yeah, so right now you're gonna love this, but and I love it. He loves golf. He can't really swing very good or anything. He holds it like a hockey stick. But Monday after the wreck at Texas. Well, actually Sunday after the race, we get to fly home early, and we didn't even go inside the house, and he wanted to get his clubs out and start swinging. So as soon as we got home, we were swinging the golf club, and then woke up the next morning and was wanting to go to the golf course. So I was like, all right, well, I'll take you to the golf course. And it was just me and him out at the golf course on Monday, which was a lot of fun. A little bit frustrating at times because he doesn't know what to do or anything, so he's hitting the ball the wrong direction and being loud or something like that, or just there's a group behind us that's waiting on us. But I would love for him to be into anything, but my hobbies right now is golf, and if I could go golf with him all the time.
Yeah, I heard you make fun of me talking to my brother the other day about my golf.
How old is Owen?
But you played good the other day. We were going to go into a playoff one for Suggs.
Yeah.
How old is Owen, for people who are not as they see?
Just over 3 years old.
So you don't let him drive the golf cart. He's a little young for that. All right, we're going to let you go. And so we're going to wait this out. You'll just, do you go back and hang out in the hauler, or just until you get word?
Yeah, I was going to go back to the motorhome here and get some food and chill out until it dries up.
And put Fox on. All right,
yep, yeah, we're watching.
The leader at the moment, thanks for coming in, and good luck the rest of the season. We'll continue. Right now, let's head over to Matt Yoakum.
Now, Chris, for years we've heard the phrase, my car is pushing like a dump truck. Now, nobody in the field knows what that truly is like except for DJ Kennington, because his normal job is driving a dump truck, and in the wintertime, you plow snow.
I sure do. I feel like I'm driving a dump truck today. I mean, we're struggling with the Gaunt Brothers Toyota. We got in that wreck early and had a lot of stuff bent up and so on. So we're fighting it a little bit today, but we're here for a better cause than that, and really enjoying myself, and hopefully we can get things turned around here in the second half.
Now, keeping the roads clear up in Canada, and that's your winter job. Your summer job is also driving a dump truck for the town in which you live, and that helps fund your racing in the Pinty Series, in essence helping to pay for your crew guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I go to work every day just like everybody else, and I get to come here and live my dream, and been fortunate enough that Marty's given me a shot at this, and really excited to be here at Bristol this weekend, especially with what we got going on the hood
for the tragedy that happened in Saskatchewan with losing the Humboldt Broncos hockey team, and 16 lives have been lost. And I'm just really, really proud to be Canadian and to have that on the hood. I'm a hockey player myself, and I wish we wouldn't have tore the thing up today, but my problems today seem pretty small for what those people are going through, and our thoughts and prayers are with all of them.
Certainly, and there's so many Canadians that are involved in NASCAR Cup Series. Sean Pete, the pit crew coach at Ganassi, he's a former player. He goes, you know what, I was a goon when I played.
I'm a goalie, and you know what? I talked to Sean this morning. He told me they do some cool things with the Ganassi pit crew. On Canada Day, they actually have a hockey tournament.
They do.
And I got invited to that, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I can go and play some goal for those guys and have some fun. And like I say, I got hockey in my blood, just like racing. And this weekend's all about those people that lost their lives, and I'm just really proud to represent them, and hopefully everybody can go and donate at the GoFundMe page and try to help those families get through this.
Running part-time for the Gaunt Brothers car in the Cup Series, but also you're going after your third Pinty Series championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been with Castrol now for 25 years in the Pinty Series and 2 championships. We got to get back in the winter circle. We've been getting our butt kicked up there too, so we've been working hard over the winter. We built some new cars over the winter, and really excited to get going on it, and hopefully we can have a good year up there too.
Thanks, DJ. Chris?
All right, and thank you, Matt, waiting out the rain and welcoming in the Hollywood Hotel live and in his Skittles color from his 18 Toyota, Kyle Busch. Thanks for coming. And by the way, when you won last time, you came into the Hollywood Hotel afterwards. We had run out of time on the post-race show, but we really appreciated that.
So. Yeah, no problem. Trying to make do with what I can when you guys are around.
And we just we asked the leader at the moment, Kyle Larson, hey, give us your top few guys, contenders that you're going to be worried about the rest of this race. And he said, well, the 18. I know he's going to be good. You've owned this place. You've done well here.
Yeah.
And talk about what's left in this race and what you felt so far. We've been watching.
Well, there's a lot of attrition so far with a lot of rain as well, too, happening, obviously, and a lot of breaks and things kind of going on. But our car seems to be really bad on the short run, but really good on the long run. And the longest runs today have been maybe 40, 45 laps, and it seems like we're able to pick guys off and start working our way towards the front. So hoping that we can get back to that, get some longer runs, and get an opportunity to race our way up towards the front and battle with Larson. I'm sure he'll be there all day too.
It certainly surprised us when you fell back early. Did it surprise you? Did you think you would just be right from the beginning?
Yeah, I didn't think I'd be that bad. I knew I'd be bad, but not that bad, because you know, you got to be a little bit ready for the end of the race here, and not so much the beginning of the race with all the rain and everything and washing the rubber off. It changes a lot here. Even with the PJ1 wearing off, even with the top kind of coming in, the rubber going down, the track just changes a tremendous amount here at Bristol. So you got to be ready for all those things. And you want to be good at the start of the race, but you want to be really good at the end of the race. So we're planning on the lap 500.
You were really good at the end last week. Let's take a look back, and I know the second place finishes were making a big deal. You were patient enough, and there were some issues in the spring race in Texas here, but when it had to happen, the 18 car made it happen.
Yeah, we certainly did. We got a really good jump right there on that last restart, and got ahead of Harvick and was just able to hold him off there for that entirety of that last run. You know, the Interstate Batteries Camry was fast all day. We were up front. We felt like we were kind of neck and neck with Harvick. He actually passed us a little bit earlier in the day, so I knew we had our work cut out for us, and we just continued to work on it and make it better. And he had troubles and got in the back of the pack, had to come back through. He worked his way back up a lot faster than I expected. And then it was just him and I, mano a mano there, the last run of the race, and we were able to hold him off, so that felt good.
It's got to be very rewarding because it looked like maybe his car was a little bit faster. And I know you were inside of that car. You weren't just running wide open, hanging on, changing where you let off the throttle, how you took the corners. How rewarding was it to take that victory knowing that he was coming and he had the heat? Yeah,
it was definitely a race where Tony, my spotter, was actually talking to me a little bit about what he thought Harvick was doing. And so I kind of tried to mimic a little bit of that, and you know, you can tell that by on top of the roof. You know, the spotter's looking at where I'm gaining and losing time compared to Harvick, and so we were kind of adjusting what we had going on and trying to see if we couldn't help our car and make sure that we rolled the bottom of 1 and 2. That's kind of what was really good about our car most of the day, was we could really run the bottom of 1 and 2 really well and not slide out. And anytime we did slide out, that would just allow the guy behind you to get some air on his car, and he would be able to track a little bit lower than you, a little bit better than you, a little faster than you. And so we wanted to make sure that we hindered that as much as possible and kept ourselves up front.
Kyle, a testament to your high level of consistency. Obviously, the champion in 2015, but in the last 3 championship fours, you've been there. Mm-hmm. You gave yourself, your team, a chance to win. Talk about the approach to the long haul of the season. Win a race, get in. There's stage points. There's a whole strategy, a platform. I know we're just kind of cranking it out here in race 8, but how do you map that out in your mind since you've been there and obviously you want to get back and win another championship?
It's tough, man. The season is so long and so grueling, but you know, it's so rewarding as well too in the end when you're able to win that. And for us, being in the Final Four the last 3 years, 4 years, whatever it's been, I can't remember, three straight, right? And we were close that year before
even
that.
last year.
But, you know, that's what we all strive for. We all want to be in the playoffs, and then we all want to be there at Homestead and have a shot to win the championship, and then you want to win it. And I feel like when we won it in 2015, obviously, that was a huge boost for us and our team, myself, being able to accomplish a championship. And then being there the last 2 years, we've just come up short. We were second best a couple years ago to Carl Edwards. He was the class of the field. And then last year, I actually felt like we were the best, and we were gaining on Truex there that last run. I just wasted so much time and too much tire messing with some other guys that I had to pass to get there to him, and just wasn't able to get the job done. But finally, you know, Truex deserved it for the entirety of the year. He was that good. But I felt like, man, in that race where if you can be better, you can win 35 of these things and lose one and lose the championship. And I was hoping that I could put that on Truex, but I wasn't quite able to do that.
Well, Toyota still won out. So
Toyota still won out, so obviously that was good for those.
And tell me about Joe Gibbs Racing, where you are at as an organization, bringing Eric Jones on and Daniel Suarez, their contributions to you and Denny. How's that group meshing?
It's meshing really well. Obviously, Denny and myself being the leaders of the team and being able to work together as closely as we've worked over the course of the last 10 years that we've been there. You know, welcoming in Carl a few years ago, welcoming in Matt a few years before that. That was probably the strongest group of guys that you could ever have. And then we lost Carl and we brought in Daniel. And Daniel's kind of been working his way into the system and getting himself a lot better and being in his second year. So he's really starting to add to the program weekly now. And then also we had Eric Jones coming in this year and taking over for Matt. So it's taken, even though Eric's in his second year as well too, it's his first year with us, we're still kind of just getting used to him a little bit as the weeks go on. But he's been a good asset. I feel like he's going to be a strong part of our team for years to come. And so hopefully we all just continue to get stronger and get better. I know our group as a cohesive unit works really well together. It's just a matter of being able to put better cars on the racetrack with what we can tell our engineers and our group of people that keep working for us.
Well, watch out. There's Skittles in there.
There's Skittles everywhere. I brought some lovely party gifts.
One of the important, thanks for coming in. One of the important personalities
in
the sport of NASCAR, and he can drive too. We like that.
I love these things, man. Taste the rainbow, huh?
All right, we're going to get a decision.
I'll race the rainbow. You taste the rainbow.
Okay, we'll get a decision on whether we're finishing tonight or tomorrow. Coming up here live, you're watching NASCAR on Fox. We thank Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing. Okay. All right, I'll just take. Okay. Okay.
20 seconds.
Okay.
15 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 to you, Chris.
Mother Nature won out at the Coliseum today here at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's official now that the race will be continued tomorrow. And the running order you see with Kyle Larson, and Kyle Busch was in moments ago talking to us. He had kind of a realistic view. 1 o'clock Eastern time, local time. We'll pick it up right where we are and finish the race in its entirety. Weather should be better at that time.
They're calling for better weather. You're right, Chris. And I just love the insight we got from Kyle Busch about what he thinks this track is doing and the changes it's going through and how fun that's going to make our race tomorrow.
Yeah, now, what would his strategy between where Kyle Larson is, and you see some of the drivers, you've got Denny Hamlin up there, Kevin Harvick is within striking distance, knowing now that basically this race has been shortened to about half of what you would normally run here?
Well, Darrell talked early in the show about urgency. You got to go, and that's going to certainly be the case tomorrow. And think about Ricky Stenhouse. He's been so strong throughout the first part of this race. He's got a great car as well. So there's some desperation, guys that want to make a statement, and I think we're just going to see a heck of a race here on the short track in Tennessee.
Tried to get it in, and we'll continue it tomorrow on Fox, 1 o'clock Eastern from right here. Bob's Burgers coming up on The Simpsons and The Last Man on Earth. We'll find out the last driver standing tomorrow at Bristol Motor Speedway. Don't forget, next Saturday night on Fox from Richmond, and then the Sunday after that will be at Talladega. Thanks to the drivers who came into the Hollywood Hotel. From Michael Waltrip, our entire production crew, we hope you tune in tomorrow. I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support.
Hello.
We hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.